Welcome to the Independent Characters, episode 181. This is Carl.
This is Adon.
And this is Justin.
This episode, we are covering all of the releases that came out for Warhammer 40k, for ancillary products around that, for Forge World, for Black Library, from Games Workshop. This is our year in review for 2018. We do this every year.
I love these shows.
This is no exception. Yeah, I like them too because they're just fun to kind of reminisce and see how far you've come.
Right.
And boy, have we come far.
And the older I get, the more surprising it is. Because I don't even remember that.
Because you keep forgetting things. So it's a great show. There is a very long hobby progress section. So Jason Mullins, please skip forward.
Well, because it's a year in review there as well.
It is a year in review. We look at kind of what we set as our goals for 2018 and how many of them we failed. And what we did instead of those goals.
Spoiler, all of them.
Goals
are
hard.
All of them.
Goals
Not
are
true.
hard.
Yeah. So it's a great show. We hope you enjoy it. Break out your paintbrushes or your airbrushes or whatever you're using to brush and start assembling and painting stuff because you got a lot to listen to. The Campfire Relief Project has been incredibly successful. We are no longer accepting donations for that. You may have noticed if you try to go to the page, I've removed the address to send things to at this point. We are beyond that point. In fact, we are recording Thursday night, as you say later in the episode, dawn, and day after tomorrow, we're delivering everything. So we're getting up early and driving all the way up there to deliver everything.
But you can still contribute to the overall relief effort at a link that's there at the website.
Yeah, so you can go to that webpage. There's you can donate money to the overall relief efforts for the fire stuff, which we really appreciate. Games Workshop is totally stepping up, delivering to each of these people who've lost their collections a 2,000-point army of their choice. And the Games Workshop Heavy Metal team, Duncan, those guys are all painting a infantry HQ model for each of those guys live on stream. On the 11th, I'll be there on that stream because I'm going to be at Warhammer World at the time, and we're going to talk about the relief effort and talk about our community here a bit. And
Table War stepped up.
Table War stepped up big time. So delivering 15 Table War full cases to these guys and battle, fat mats and dice and all kinds of stuff.
There's a Geomat for the RPG player.
For the RPG player. Yep, I forgot to mention that.
Yep.
So yeah, check out that Geomat if you're an RPG player. It's fantastic. So
and the little plastic game cubes for display and transport
from Crystal Fortress.
Yep.
So all these links will be in the show notes. Great stuff. We really appreciate everybody who contributed towards these people. It's just been wonderful, and thank you so much for the time that you took and the money and energy you took to deliver this stuff. Very appreciated, and these folks are going to be very excited to receive all this stuff. So,
absolutely, yeah.
So great stuff all around. You guys got anything you want to drop on us at the end of the year before we launch into this stuff?
One thing I would say, listeners, is it could be a fun little project is have in the back of your mind of what things you would like to accomplish in the new year, and maybe share that on our community page.
Yeah. And the community page he's talking about is the Facebook community, is the Independent Characters community group on Facebook, and it's helpful if you answer the questions when you join.
I cannot tell you enough. When you type a response like, how many podcasts do you listen to? All of them. No, you don't. Nobody could possibly listen to all podcasts. If you could just give us a little bit of information when you sign up, it's very helpful. It allows us to pass you through much quicker as we don't have to start cyber stalking you to figure out, is this guy actually a player or are they just somebody that's trying, because we are preventing a lot of spammers from ruining your time in this forum.
Yep.
And as it gains more popularity, we're approaching 4,000 people in there. We need to maintain the quality of people that we're bringing in. And there has been a tremendous amount of growth lately for people that came in. In fact, I made a post about that because a lot of people that are joining the group are not people who listen to this show. And it's especially when you invite like your friends in that may not.
And that's what the big influx is. People are joining who are friends of people who are in the group.
Yeah, and here's the thing: this is going to the people who listen to the show. The community does a great job of kind of policing itself and policing the attitude of that group, and the the theme of that group, which is really we're here to celebrate the hobby and enjoy each other's company and share stuff. And so I imagine we are going to start seeing people come in that are not on that same level because they get in through a different means.
And they don't listen to the show.
And they don't listen to the show, so they don't understand our message.
Yeah.
And
the context isn't there for them.
Yeah. And so those people will get worked out one way or another. They'll either leave themselves or they'll decide, I don't like this, and
or they'll jump right in and fit.
And we'll remove them.
Yep.
Or they'll jump in,
Yep.
they're a fit, and maybe they start checking out the show, which
Yep.
I would love. So,
But if you like positive hobby,
this is the
painting,
place for it.
gaming, it's just awesome.
It's a great
awesome
group.
community. So, but yeah, let us know what your plans are. Be cool to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
a great
There is
point.
a couple people posting like, this is what my
Yeah.
stuff is already. So,
Yeah.
feel
There was
free to join
there's a
in.
great thread on there. What is your favorite 40K moment and your least favorite 40K moment for the year?
Yeah, man, we should have talked about that.
Yeah. It's a great thread. Go to the Facebook community and comment there. There's some really great posts there about it.
All right. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Also, we love reviews. We love reviews on iTunes. We love reviews on our Facebook page. Please go and give us what you think we deserve. We'd love a 5-star review, but if you don't think it's a 5-star review, send us feedback. Let us know why
Tell
not.
us why.
And we'll take that under consideration. So anyway, you know what? We've dragged on long enough about this. Let's launch into this show, which is a lengthy one, but I think a fun one. Justin shows up a little late at one point, but
I made it.
But you'll hear it all soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Wargamma.com, where you can get resin terrain, craters, lakes, lava pools, and objectives. Figure bases for all types of models. Character models including Battle Wolf war mounts and spawn seeds. Linked barricades. Choose from one of 6 designs to suit the origins of your army. From Star Pharaoh, Spawn Hive, Mechanoid, Dark Ancients, Dradelian Noble, and Chromag Scrapyard. Linked barricade sets include 12 large shields, which are 2 inches wide and 4 connecting walls. Cover nearly a 30-inch line. Sets also include a matching multi-gun turret. Wargamma.com. Alternative battle miniatures. All right, let's kick it off with a little bit of hobby progress.
A little bit.
A little bit. Don, let's go with you first.
Sure. I got the rest of those. I've been working on these bases for a while.
These are the GW plastic ones, right?
Yeah, the Sector Imperialis ones. Yep. Got them all primed, and then I found another box.
Just primed or base coated? You just sprayed them black?
I sprayed them black. I was going to go back and do the rest, and I was going through stuff and came across another box. But it's not just the 32s. It's the one that had the multiple sizes in it. Yeah. And that's why I didn't have it all together. But yeah, so I've got a bunch of those bases. I'm getting them knocked out.
These are all for your Griffins of Justice?
Yep.
Okay.
And so I'm pretty happy those all have now some color on them. And then I spent over 5 hours so far going through all my stuff for the end game flea market.
Wow.
I forgot to add this to Hobby Progress. I
just
bought
tons. You just bought
Defiler.
Bought a Defiler for me.
It's not even, Defiler's not even good. I just want it to be complete.
Sure.
And it's just it's kind of depressing on some level.
Yeah.
Going through all the stuff that I have, and it helped me kind of refocus though on what does I really want to do.
So talk about or do you talk about it later? Your mission on model neutral.
So
because this goes to
my buddy
Anthony, a bunch of stuff.
Right. So my buddy Anthony Brown and I talked about his New Year's resolution. His New Year's resolution was, I think we talked about this last episode.
I think so.
Where he's not going to buy anything unless he sells something.
Okay.
Model wise, and so I thought, you know what, that's actually an excellent thing to do.
Right.
And so I'm going to try and do the same thing. I mean, both he and I kind of preloaded and bought stuff in December, but
I'm not going to shoot
it didn't
any of.
start yet.
I'm not going to shoot. any of this new heroin until I sell through this old heroin.
It's like when you're going to go on a diet and you're like, well, I go on a diet Monday, so I'm going to scarf down this whole
Right.
pizza.
Yeah. It is kind of like that, right? It's your final binging. But I kind of like the idea. And there's a couple people on the Facebook group who said they have done this. I think Drew was saying that he did this last year, and it worked out really well. So the idea is that I'm only going to spend money on models based on money that I get from selling models.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm not going to buy.
Which is kind of a losing proposition in the long run. I think you've probably paid more for the models than you're selling them for.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. You're taking a loss.
I'm selling them for way less than what I paid for them. But by the same token, that will force me to reduce my inventory.
Yeah, I got
right?
you.
And the other thing that this time really meant for me, because I pulled a bunch of stuff out of we have one of those storage sheds in the backyard, tough shed things, and I pulled a bunch of stuff out of there. I posted some pictures of it. And I'm going through my entire hobby room, and now I got to go through the garage because the end game table is going to go in the garage.
Oh, so you are setting up the
the
game board. Nice.
Yeah. So it really made me kind of reevaluate, what am I doing with my hobby time? What am I doing with my commitments?
I think that's legit.
And there's whole game systems I'm completely selling off.
Because you're not playing them.
I'm not playing them. I'm selling them off. And
you probably haven't played them in a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of things that I'm just getting rid of. And when I go to 40K, to stay specific to what we're talking about here, it also made me kind of refocus on, I don't want to get stuck in what they call the sunk cost fallacy, where it's worth something because I spent money on it. Well, if you're not actually using it, what value is it?
And what value is it? This
does
is
it really have for you?
Yeah.
So I'm selling off all my Dark Eldar. I mean, I had well over 2,500 points of Dark Eldar.
Damn, that show of force.
Yeah, really. I've got easily $1,000 or more retail of Dark Eldar stuff. But I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to finish that. I know I'm not going to finish that project. I know it's not going to be a primary passion for me. So I'm going to sell it off.
Yeah, it's not for me either.
And
I had to sit here and think about it, though. So you get rid of
and I'm selling off. I'm selling off all my chaos stuff. And
yeah, your heart's not really in chaos anyway.
It really isn't. I mean, when I went through
you're more of a renegade Marine faction.
Yeah, right, exactly. That is kind of more my thing. So when the 40K Fight Club first started doing the Hobby Progress Challenges, we kind of borrowed their format.
Right.
When their forums went away, the first army I did a full army of Alpha Legion.
Right.
It was a quote-unquote chaos army, and I used the Dinobots, and I had Hell Drakes and stuff like that. But all of the models pretty much were Loyalist Marines.
Right.
Because they're Alpha Legion, and so that was kind of my vibe with it is, you can't tell that they're chaos. And so, but it's not really my thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get rid of all my chaos stuff. The Eldar I'm keeping because it's an army that I've always wanted, and it's painted and ready, and I can play it.
Don't get rid of that.
Yeah, and so I'm not going to get rid of that.
I can tell every time you talk about that or post pictures, like you're genuinely excited playing that.
Yeah,
that
and it's a force that I always thought about wanting, and when I was able to actually get it, and I had money at the time to pay to have somebody actually paint them the way I wanted them painted.
Yeah.
And I just used it the other day, and I like it. I like having a specific type of army. I know I'm not going to buy anything else for it. It's set. Mm-hmm. And so, but I'm getting rid of a lot of this other stuff, and so it's been time well spent.
Yeah.
For me, in terms of it, I really do think of it as progress in terms of where I want to go with the hobby. So
cool. I think that's fair.
Yeah,
that's very fair.
I mean, I think my primary focus on 40K.
I've thrown stuff in the donation.
Yeah.
Bin that's going out because I'm like, I'm never gonna get to these. Like,
and we'll talk about this when we get to the commitments part for the year. But yeah, so it was really helpful for me. I bought a crap ton of paints and washes.
Speaking of getting rid of things, I bought a bunch. No, this is paints and washes.
Right,
so
paints and washes.
Doesn't count. Hobby supplies don't count towards your.
No, it doesn't.
Of course not.
Books and hobbies and supplies don't count. But the end game is closing, and so they started in January. They started with a 25% off of everything in the store. Used games are 50% off, and so I went in and basically bought out almost all their washes, and got almost one of everything and from the GW paint line.
Wow!
And also, I'm going to get their GW paint rack.
Yeah,
that has all the names of the paints and
That's
stuff on it.
That's really cool.
That's
because
awesome.
If you have the room for that, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know exactly where it's going to go in the room. And the thing for me that's helpful for is that when you store the paints and you're looking at the tops, you can't really see what they are.
It can be hard, yeah.
So I really like having. I mean, I was gonna do the nail polish racks,
yeah,
or one of these other systems, but why not?
This solves your problem.
This solves the problem, yeah. And so I'm going to pay for that.
The only problem with that, though, is it's so much depth for, you're only having one facing of paint.
Yeah, true.
Right?
But right now there's dead space I'm not using in that area anyway for where it's going to go. So it'll be fine. Cool. And, again, I can put multiples in there. And if I want to, I can take the Vallejo paints that I have or the other paint, the P3 paints that I have that are that same basic color and just put it behind the GW one. So it's all in the same place. Because for me right now, that's the hardest thing is trying to find, see what the colors are, what I have.
Yeah.
So it's actually going to be a great thing to have.
I tend to, when I'm working with a set of colors, like I will pull them out. I use a tableware case for my stuff. I have drawers, all the drawers.
Right.
And so I'll pull them out and I'll be like, oh, no, not this one, not this one.
Right.
Finally, I find them. And what I do is I like line them up and I take a picture of them. So I know like these are the sets I used for this thing.
Right. That's what I do
too. So
too.
I can see all the names. And then, I try to put them back in the drawer where they go. But
and that's my problem too. Is I love the tableware hobby trays, drawers. I use the same thing for my washes and stuff and the inks.
Yeah.
But the problem is, and I do the same kind of thing where if I paint a dude and I'll put all the colors behind it, so I know what I used.
Yeah.
But the problem for me is that you put them all back in there, but then when you pull stuff out and put it back in, it all gets mixed up.
Yeah. For sure.
So this is gonna be a great thing. And then I bought the Warhammer Dice Masters game.
Yeah.
Warhammer 40,000 Dice Masters. Dice Masters is a cool game. Some people say, oh, it's just...
They like theme other ones like on superhero Dice Masters they got, and that kind of thing, right?
Marvel Dice Masters and all this kind of stuff. Some people say, oh, it's just themed Quarriors. It's not. It's actually a better game than Quarriors, also designed by Eric Lang.
Quarriors isn't that bad.
But Quarriors is not a bad game, but it's got some significant...
Sure.
Soft points, but I think Dice Masters is a much better game. So I bought that. I bought the 2 expansions for it. I got it, a little less, so that was kind of nice.
Very cool.
Listen to Trader's Gorge by Mike Lee.
Yep.
And
we'll talk about later.
Yeah, and Burden of Loyalty, which is a set of short stories.
Eight short stories.
Edited by Lori
Golding.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's you.
That's me.
Justin, you're up.
Cool. I guess I might as well start out with the CK Studios. I think that counts as hobby progress.
Yeah,
sure.
Donating.
So what happened there?
So Carl was a very swell lad and opened up his Astronomicon to a CK Studios class for 9
folks,
faithful souls.
I think that's hobby progress times 9, actually.
I think so too.
So yeah, I mean, for 2 days, you guys were Caleb was teaching a class with your assistants.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of stepped in as cat in many ways, like walking around, helping people.
Still very much like kind of in apprentice mode, soaking it in.
But you did great, by the way.
Thank you.
Like I saw you interfacing with people. Cat and Caleb sure seemed thrilled with how you did. So I think you're natural at that. So I'm excited to see where you go with that.
Yeah,
Very
it'll
cool.
be a whole different ballgame when I'm up there and.
Sure, when you're the one doing it,
actually doing it, but
everybody's booing you because you're moving out of the cameras.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's the interesting thing. You did the hobby class. By the end of the second day, I was like, I just want everybody out of my house, right? like it was, and it was funny because Shell had said, "Oh, it's very cool that they did the class here and everything. That seemed really cool." And I said, "Yeah." I go, "But I kind of want everybody out of the house by the end of the second day." And she's like, "Oh, really?" She goes, "Because I was going to suggest maybe you should have classes here more often."
Wow.
I'm like, whoa, what? So that got me thinking, though, right?
Yeah.
As a group of us, like our gaming group,
right? Dude, we could fly out Sam Lenz.
We should take a look at what is being taught at like Adepticon, Nova, that kind of stuff. Oh, green stuff, sculpting. I want to learn how to do like simple green stuff. If somebody here in our group can't...
Well, simple green stuff's very simple. You just put your model in simple green and the paint comes off.
But green stuff is what he means.
I'm not saying
not simple green.
No, I know.
Green stuff.
Oh my God, stop confusing me. Okay, so green stuff, sculpting.
I got you.
Which is, I think, what I said.
Being a wise guy.
Did I not?
So it's simple green stuff.
It's simple, yeah.
We know what you mean.
Easy
I'm sorry.
green stuff. Okay. Oh God. Anyway, okay. For example, I know they did a class. They've done classes on this at Adepticon.
Yeah.
we could
Painting
gather
faces, stuff like that.
resources. There's a lot of local talent too.
Yep.
People locally in the Bay Area that could teach this kind of stuff, and we could do a day or 2-day course just for our gaming group and pay people to come here and teach us. Hey, you want to learn how to do this? Okay,
Do it as a 1-day class because otherwise you'll get sick. I want to throw people out in the second day.
I think 1 day is plenty. But like the day, like I had Colin come over one day and show me how he does transfers because he's really good at doing transfers. I mean, doing that and getting practice with it and hands-on would be invaluable to a lot of us.
Sure.
I think so.
I mean,
And a lot of the artists, like Sam, for example,
Yep.
Sam Lenz,
Yep.
he actually does one-on-one classes where he charges you to come out to him, and do like a weekend class.
Yeah.
But I've actually reached out to him because a couple of my buddies have wanted to do like a 2 or 3 people with Sam, pay to fly him out,
Right.
and do the same kind of
See,
thing.
I mean, we could do something like that.
2 days freehand painting with Sam.
Yeah, I mean that would be
We
fantastic.
all throw a Benjamin at him like he's a cheap,
and the more
cheap
people,
stripper. And
the more people we're chipping in, the cheaper it gets. Right?
exactly. Yep.
So I mean,
Wait a minute, Benjamin's a cheap stripper?
Yeah. Right.
So,
I was waiting for somebody to catch
easy,
that.
guys. So anyway, my point is we have the space. We should totally use it. Worked well for the class.
It did. It was a
Maybe
little
Hamilton.
intimate, but that's
was
only
the
because
word I used.
we had fold-out tables everywhere.
Yeah.
But you know what? Hey,
Yeah.
nobody tripped and died,
No.
and it was super fun.
We pushed the table out of the way. We pushed the couch over there, and the little table over there, and we
The
fit
pictures
9
looked
people
awesome.
in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was great being able to kind of step in and just really show people little parts of my knowledge and see that light bulb go off.
Yeah.
And it was really fun.
Yeah,
kind of got the bug.
It did well. And I told Adon this before we started recording. You know who did really well in that class? That really, I guess it surprised me was Steve Noya.
Yeah, Steve, Aaron,
He crushed it.
Aaron did really
Aaron
good too.
did really well, but I looked at Steve's Dreadnought and I was just like, yeah, this class is good.
Christoph had never touched an airbrush before.
Yeah.
That class.
Yeah. And his stuff looked great too. I mean, it's such a good class.
Yep.
It is such a good class. But my point is, like, Steve has kind of struggled with the hobby painting aspect of
Right.
this, and he came out of that class killing it.
Yep.
So, I mean, and again, this is not meant to be derogatory, but if Steve can do that and get to that level with this class that quickly, a lot of people can do that and get.
Well, because he was traditionally somebody who seemed to struggle.
He did. Yeah.
And so
Aaron too.
Right, and to see that kind of progression in a short period of time really shows the value of it.
Yeah. But I was really
It's the beauty of those
impressed with
classes.
the
I
way
mean,
those guys
it's
did.
almost like a paint by numbers, but a very advanced paint by numbers, and you get to really.
But like
see
I
it
looked
done.
at Steve's thing, I was like, now just take that and apply that to all your Space Marines. And I go, and it's gonna look amazing. And he was like, genuinely came out of excited about it. He was like, yeah, I'll do it, because he had bought Josh or Jody. Josh had the salamanders, right? Yeah, Josh had the salamanders. He had bought Josh's salamanders, and so he was like, yeah, I'll do like all these Primaris Marines like this, and then they'll be like the new group, because they're not going to match the way his old salamanders look. But
I think one of the keys, because I've taken a couple of classes now, and I think one of the keys, if you take one of these classes, and it doesn't just have to be CK Studios, this is true even for the other classes I've taken at Adepticon and other places, is don't trust that you're going to remember it all.
Oh, no way.
Take notes.
Yeah.
Take a notebook and force yourself to take notes.
Yeah.
Because, I go back, and this is one of the things that CK does really, really well. One of the things that's a value for your money is some of the printed material they give you. And no, we're not going to share it because that's part of what the cost of the class
It
is.
devalves your experience.
But you will
in the class,
keep
for
those
sure.
handouts.
But you will
You'll
keep those handouts,
notes.
and they're really helpful. I actually use them to make my notes on those handouts because I was able to then connect what I did physically with what I was seeing on the page and what he was saying.
Yeah.
And so any of these classes, I mean, I took a class, like speed painting class from and I can't remember an Italian guy, and I can't remember his name, at Adepticon. And the stuff he was doing was amazing. And I'm looking at it, and he's doing it. And about halfway through the class, I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm not taking notes. I actually had the notebook in my hand.
But you were so enthralled.
I was so enthralled with what he was doing. So the one thing I just got to tell you as a takeaway, force yourself. Take notes.
And
Take
really try
notes.
to do what the instructors are doing.
Yes.
It's easy to kind of like, oh, I know how to do this, I'm going to go this route.
No.
But
Do what
like
they're
really
saying.
trust in your instructor and follow along, and don't worry that you didn't finish the entire Contemptor Dreadnought. Just focus on whatever technique you're learning at the moment.
Here's the other thing I'd add to that, Justin, which is what you and myself and Kat and Caleb talked about afterwards, is I made the mistake of when I took that class, I was like, well, I've got this Black Legion dreadnought that's a Sons of Horus dreadnought I want to use for my Black Legion list. I want to paint this up and complete a model. I want to walk out with a model I'm going to use.
Right.
That's the wrong thing to do.
Right.
You should go this is just a generic dreadnought.
Yep. Pick a scheme that you've always wanted to paint, maybe.
You're not going to use it in your army.
Right.
What you're trying to learn is the techniques.
Yes.
And then, and it was, as we were sitting here talking, I was like, you're teaching somebody to fish, not giving them a fish. Right. And once you have those techniques down, now you can go apply it to all your others.
Exactly.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with you a little bit in that I think it's perfectly fine. Austin did this, John Fuhrhelm did this, where you can go in saying, I want to paint this dreadnought for my army, and I'm going to use the paint scheme for my army. Don't expect you're going to walk out with it done. I agree with you there. But I still think it's okay to walk in saying, I want to paint this, and eventually it's going to go into my army.
I think there's much more value. For me, maybe it's different for each individual, but I think I would have been better off like doing a red dreadnought.
Yes, because that's the thing. Certain colors.
Do a difficult color.
No, not
like
even
yellow,
not
red,
even the color
white.
per
No,
se.
because white, for example,
Right.
like that, we can't really go over certain techniques that we would with other shades. So
they're
we
different,
So ultimately, at the end of the day, do whatever you want to do, and we'll work with you. We're not saying like, no, you cannot paint a white
But I think you
Contemptor or a
get
metallic
more
one.
out
You
of
get
it.
more out of it, yeah.
Especially if you paint a color you're not used to painting.
Agree.
Because then you're focused more on the technique than the color itself.
Agree. I do agree.
That's
with
my
that.
thinking.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Yeah,
it's pretty accurate.
Yeah. But because you said before, you said this is not something I'm going to use in my army. I think
that's why I say then go do something you're going to use in your army.
Yes, exactly.
There's,
right.
Paint over it.
Right.
At
I
that
say you
point.
might ultimately end up using that in your army in a different way. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Take the simple green class. Simple green it. Start over.
There you go.
I can teach a simple.
Hey.
So
the first class will be Carl's simple green class.
I didn't get to the end of that comment. So Shell goes, "Oh, you do these classes?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." I go, "Well, but what we could do is we could do these classes.
Yeah.
Like we could get local things, or we could just have people in our group teach." And she goes, "You can teach them how to use Sharpies," and I'm like, I hate you so much right now.
Simple. So which class is first? Simple green or Sharpies? That's a tough
It's a two-part
one.
class. It starts with simple.
You could probably finish that in 2 days.
It's going to take 2 days.
Yeah.
It starts with a Sharpie, and then you end with simple green, so you can get rid of that stuff off your model.
Crikey.
Oh my goodness!
But it was I had to give props to Shell for that. That was a great.
That's
comment.
good.
I love the
Okay.
Sharpie. The Sharpie war continues. So
Nothing to fight about.
Super fun. I'm stoked for the future. It's going to be fun. As for other things, I spent a lot of time actually getting things somewhat organized, very much like you did it on.
Yeah. In a different direction, though.
Yeah.
I'm ripping stuff out. You're putting stuff in.
So I've been kind of slowly moving my studio inside, and now it's pretty much a fully fledged studio inside of my beautiful small duplex.
See, but now you can go to Crystal and you can say, "Yeah, but honey, this is a money making thing.
Tax deductible.
I need to treat it like a profession it is."
I've got my name tag set up. I've got my cards in one of those little desk card holders.
I'm telling you, dude, it's all tax deductible now.
Yes.
That's a good point.
And I'm going to start doing more live streaming
Yep.
too. I'm going to get camera rigs all set up and
Nice.
everything. So
Nice.
So I spent a lot of time going through my paints, getting those organized, just getting tidy, cleaned up, and it felt really good. And I'm going through a lot of my colors, going, man, do I really need all these ancient, almost dried out paints?
Right.
So very much like in the garbage.
In the garbage. Yep. I did that with a bunch of mine too.
Oh, it feels good. It feels good. So that was rad. Getting ready for lots of incoming hobby progress for the new year. I am almost done with the first
Such a good book.
heresy book, and
I can't wait to get into that. We'll talk about it.
wow, yeah, it's heating up. Like I'm almost at the very end, so things are exploding all around. And I got the bug for heresy books for sure.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
So almost done with that. And then as far as actual painting hobby progress, I have been experimenting a lot with the new GW Air line of
Yeah.
paint,
They're
which
a good
I
line.
picked up.
Doug loves them.
They are
Caleb loves them.
Yeah, it's a good line.
really, really good. They shoot super matte.
Yep.
Just I paint with flow improver mostly, so a little drop of flow improver. I do need to transfer them.
How much flow improver are you using? Because I started using it, and like I would. So when I get to mine, I'm doing terrain. I would put in a pretty good amount of paint into my cup because I'm painting large models, and then I drop like 3 or 4 drops of flow improver in there, and mix it up.
So I put the flow improver in first.
Okay.
So before paint.
So that it's at the bottom.
It's at the bottom. So I put in a couple drops of flow improver, and then I add my paint, and I take an old brush or a little pink stir stick, and I mix it up.
But like, what's kind of your ratio there?
I would say like I'll probably throw in, regardless, I'll put in at least a drop or two.
Yeah.
Like kind of no matter how much paint I'm shooting.
Yeah.
But I'll usually do like a drop or two, because I use very little paint when I airbrush,
right?
Because I hate wasting paint. So I'll do like a drop or two of flow improver, and then maybe 3 or 4 brushfuls of actual paint.
You two are heretics.
No, I got to tell you,
We're heretics.
I got to tell you that flow improver, I've noticed a significant difference when I use it.
It mixes really well with the
Really
GW
smooth.
airline, and all paints, but especially GW.
Yeah, but I've been putting it in with the Vallejo Airs.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm doing like half a cup because I'm painting a lot of stuff in that one setting, right?
Yeah, you're filling cups basically.
And so, but then I'll put like 4 or 5 drops of that flow improver in and mix it up, and it is noticeably less clogging.
Yep.
What brand of flow improver?
I'll show you the stuff I'm using. I think. Oh, I'm just using Badger.
I'm using Vallejo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you're heretics.
Super great.
Mixing stuff in the airbrush cup itself.
Yeah, why not?
There's a lot of do as I say as I do kind of stuff.
I was going to say, as a CK Studios alum, I'm going to say that's
well, even
heresy.
Caleb says, like, hey, initially when you're first learning to mix your paints and get them prepared, you absolutely want to start mixing in a cup. But after
a separate cup.
A separate cup, mix it. You can check the legs of it. You can make sure it's the right consistency. Then you add it in.
Once you know what you're doing, then you can do it in the cup.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So. It's worked great for me.
I can see too, especially for older.
But if you're a not super experienced airbrusher, I strongly suggest you mix it in a separate cup first.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, find your legs. You
Yep.
You have to start somewhere and find what works for you.
Do that once or twice, and then just do it in the cup.
Yeah. Now that being said, though, there is certain mixes. Like if you're going to shoot, like for example, like a glowing glaze over a glowing weapon.
Yeah.
And you don't want to wipe out all the work you did underneath, and you want to make sure that is super thin.
Yeah.
Then hell yeah, mix that in a cup and shoot it on white paper first.
Yep.
And,
That's what I do.
Yep.
It's flown great.
It depends on what you're doing, but yeah.
Anyway.
So.
Not to get too far into that.
Been using the air paints a lot, and mostly using them on the Sloppity Bile Piper. So he's a Nurgle HQ that's pretty fun. He can make things come back quicker.
Nice.
And I think people should definitely go check out the Facebook page. He posted a couple pictures of stuff where he spent like 10, 15 minutes of airbrushing on this guy, and you can see how quickly you bring stuff to life. I think it's really instructional.
Here's the other thing. A listener reached out to us and was like, you guys are always talking about airbrush and you're always excited about airbrush, and nobody ever talks about paint brushing, like painting just with a paint brush. And I told him, well, this is probably because we're very excited about the progress we're making with the airbrushes and this kind of thing. That's not to say painting with a brush is not a completely legitimate way to do your hobby project.
Yeah.
GMM Studios does not use an airbrush.
Right.
He paints all that stuff by hand, and he is one of the best.
At the end of the day, you need to find what works for you. There is
Absolutely.
no right or wrong.
The reason we're pitching the airbrushes is because it will speed your hobby up.
And to Don's point, I was able to get that Sloppity Bile Piper like pretty much ready for the board in like maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
20, 30 minutes. And that's with like 5 shades of zenithal green up to rotting flesh, and then shooting in artist inks. And
then, of course, you're going to want to use a brush to go in and
I
do
already
the
have.
details,
Clean stuff
right?
up,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, we're not saying throw away your brushes.
No.
No, not
they
at
are.
all.
This is just another tool in your arsenal of brushes.
In fact, one of the things that CK Studios sells that's really important is those really nice broken-toed brushes.
Yeah, I think they're not going to make those anymore, though.
Yeah, so it's mostly slow fuse.
Slow Fuse,
or
I'm sorry.
Monument.
Monument
Slow
games.
Fuse,
Yeah, I'm sorry. They've transitioned to Monument games. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And actually picked up some of those too. They're super nice.
Yeah, they're very nice.
Really nice.
I wish I treated my brushes better.
Yeah, so I picked up some of the brush soap too, which I need to get better about. I'm pretty good with my expensive brushes.
The expensive brushes I treat better, but then I find myself avoiding using the expensive brushes because I'm just gonna. I know I'm gonna just destroy this thing.
I know Caleb was busting my chops. He's like, "Why do you buy cheap brushes, man?" He's like, "Even for," I'm like, "Dude, I use them for like bulk painting army stuff." And he's like, "Well, even if you're doing that, do that with better brushes, and it'll make you that much more efficient." I'm like, whatever you say, boss.
Okay, you're the boss.
I'll throw all my cheap brushes away just for you. But super fun model. I'm going to be using him this weekend against Robert, I think.
Nice.
So he'll be fun. His little special ability when you take morale, you roll 2 dice instead of 1.
Yeah.
So you get 2 chances
Pick
for reality to blink and get demons
nice.
back.
Good
Oh,
point.
nice.
So with demons,
Oh, jeez. That's amazing.
pretty cool. He's got some other bonuses, but that's pretty much all you care about. And then last but not least, I've gotten some more work done on that Slaneshi Demon Prince for the CK Secret Santa.
That's your Secret Santa
Yeah,
thing.
I'll finish him up in a week or 2.
Nice.
Send him out. And that's me. Just a lot of random stuff.
I did a lot. I did a whole lot.
You did.
I finished assembling all the units that I'm going to send out to Colin. Unfortunately, I realized I'm in a blackout period for selling any of the stock because I wanted it. So I'm still gonna, but I was gonna just sell a couple of shares of stock and then have them paint these up. But now I got to actually dip into my actual account.
Your actual money.
Yeah, my actual money.
Your really real money.
So I painted 8 buildings as well as some other terrain stuff, and
You killed it.
Machine, dude.
I just got on. It's Brian Harvey, right?
Yep.
I saw Brian do Austin Lynn's terrain, and I looked and this is where I say, like, I'm really good at looking at what somebody did and then going, I see how that was done. I can replicate that. And so I looked at how Brian did this, and I was like, I see what he's doing here. That is a really good look for a minimal amount of effort in some cases. I'm going to imitate that. And I didn't do exactly what he did, but I did my version of it. Like the concept, the style was there.
Yep. Make it your own.
So I assembled and painted the Imperialis Sector Sanctum and the Imperialis Sector Basilicum, which are the 2 new kits that they came out with. One has the 2 giant statues in front. The other has the 4
kind of the kill team.
the 4
terrain
smaller
pieces.
statues on top. Yeah. This initial kind of set came with, these 2 did not come with the kill team basic set, but they're the same style.
Same style.
Right.
Yeah. And the first one, I think it's the Sanctor Basilicanum, that one is the one with the 2 large statues attached to it. That's an expensive kit. I mean, that's like $100 kit.
Yeah.
And I thought when I bought it, I'm like, man, they're charging a lot for this terrain kit. That is a big piece of terrain.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
seeing it in person is.
Once I assembled it, I was like, oh, I see why this is a $100 kit. It's still pricey. I'm not saying it's not.
Is it the 1 corner piece, or is it
It's that corner piece with the 2 giant statues attached to it right there behind you.
just the corner piece?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, but
no, and it comes with a little piece too.
Yeah, it's as much
Another
plastic.
little-
It's as much plastic as a Knight or any other
It
large
is.
model.
It's big.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks great. And so I did these ones stone because I had already done like these green ones that I saw that I talked about in the previous show.
I know that marijuana is legal in California, but you really shouldn't paint stone.
No, it's
Oh, you painted it in a stone color.
anyway.
Okay, I got it.
Look,
I don't know. What's
the
happening.
other buildings are simple green. This one is stone.
This one's stoned. Okay.
He
I
likes to
painted
huff.
these stone colors.
Yes.
Stone colors. Now you got me saying it. Because I wanted to do something a little different than the green ones. I think they're a nice contrast to that green. Then I had bought 2 cargo container sets.
Right.
And assembled the cargo containers, painted all those up.
And you do those alcoholed? No. Oh, okay, never mind.
Stoned.
You did stoned.
Stoned.
Okay. No, never mind.
You know what?
Simple
Jokes
stoned.
are bad.
They are.
Really bad.
They are really bad.
I painted up the cargo containers. I painted up the barrels that I got that Jody had printed out
Yeah.
on
He
a
gave
3D
me some
printer.
of those, yeah.
And they are amazing.
They are really good.
Super great for Kill Team too. I still have another set that I'm going to do green.
And thank you for doing some of them red.
And I did some red.
Yes.
Again, I think this is where I really started to use the inks as well. And in particular here, I used the Payne's Gray for the first time, Justin.
Oh.
And that ink is phenomenal.
It's almost like sometimes I know what I'm talking about.
I might
I'm
need.
just gonna
I've
say-
never said you don't.
I know,
You know,
I know.
you
I
really should
may
consider
need to
teaching.
go buy a big bottle of the Payne's Gray though.
Payne's Gray is I don't even know how
It's
to put into words how good that color is. The way it shoots, the way it
Yeah.
shades things.
And it has like
little bit
almost
of
like a
blue to
little
it.
blue tint
Yeah.
to
Yep.
it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's just
Have you shot the dark green yet?
not yet.
And then you mix that dark green with Payne's Gray. Nom 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 nom.
Oh god. Okay.
So
anyway,
many.
and the thing is, a lot of people ask questions about what are you mixing with these? Well, I just shoot them straight.
Yeah.
I don't put flow improver in.
No, not in the
with
inks.
I haven't had to.
You really don't need to.
No.
I do out of habit.
Okay.
That's just my habit. When I put a cup, I just little flow improver and then whatever else.
And the thing Caleb said about the inks, which is really resonates, is I'm spraying them directly through the airbrush. The longer you spray it onto a section, or the more you put it on, the darker it's going to get.
Oh yeah.
And you need to really drop your PSI too. Drop it down to like 15, 10, 15.
And do a couple.
You're
do a
shooting
pass
with more
between
air.
stop.
You're shooting with way more air than paint.
Yeah.
You,
You don't want it to splatter.
Yep.
Yeah. But super easy to use. Like I said before, I feel like I've discovered Agraxar shade all over again. It's that much of a game changer
Really
for
good.
me.
Yep.
In terms of shading things, in terms of, so painting the buildings then. So I did the cargo containers. I painted the barrels. I painted the Shrine of the Aquila, which I've had sitting there forever unpainted. Huge amounts of gold on that guy. I painted 2 of the Mechanicus ruins. I painted 2 of the Imperial Sector ruins.
Now, are you calling these done? Or are you going to go back and do some dry brushing on them with a big brush? Or
No, done.
Done? Just
They're
done?
Yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong. They look phenomenal.
I don't think they need any dry brushing.
And then the
I usually do the dry brushing before I paint on. I mean, I guess you could.
I like what you did with the
I
Fortress.
think they're fine.
I like what you did with the Fortress of Wind, with doing the little lights and stuff on Fortress of Redemption.
Yeah, the Fortress of Redemption.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest single piece I painted. I did the little glowing lights on it.
Yep.
I'm not doing the glowing lights on any of the other pieces, even though they have the like hanging lights, because they're ruins. I doubt they're getting power at this point.
Right.
But the Fortress of Redemption is something I went out to the garage and found. I knew I had it somewhere.
Yeah.
I went out to the garage and found it finally. I had to repair a bunch of stuff on it. I got it put together and painted up, and I'm very happy with the way it came out.
And the cool thing about that model too, and you posted some pictures of it, I think,
Yep.
but you were able to do all that with airbrush and then just like not worrying about overspray because you just go back over with the inks and weather it up, and it looks
you're
great.
cautious with the airbrush,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if I get a little overspray, so be it.
And
I'll
and
darken
props
that.
to you for doing the door frames, the gold door frames with paint and not Sharpie. Well done.
Should use Sharpie. I
Might have
should have used Sharpie.
Might have been a little sharper.
What was I
I was
thinking?
gonna say,
I don't know.
No. It looks awesome, man. You've been just
Well, I still have the big eagle gun. I'm
do?
going to do the whole
thing.
Oh God.
3 shades of Sharpie.
No, I'll just spray that through.
Yeah, so you're still working on the well endowed eagle.
Yeah, so I can't remember what that thing's called. The Aquila Strong Point?
Aquila Strong Point.
Yeah. So I've got that all assembled. I've done my first, I prime it black. I spray some gray on it through just Osh gray. Then I've gone in with Payne's gray ink and just kind of hit all the areas that I want to stand out. You can already see it's looking cool.
you can already see it looking great, yeah.
And so I'm just going to repeat it'll look very much like the Fortress of Redemption.
Going with the gold and then ink up the gold, yep.
Yeah. Super, super happy with the way that's come out. I've cleaned up, repaired, and primed various other 40K pieces of terrain because I'm still on this terrain train.
Yeah.
And I'm going to continue to stay on it.
Isn't that great when you get that bug for whatever you're working on?
Yeah.
And it doesn't even feel like work because you're just so in like that Buddhist Zen like
I've
state.
been catching up on The Flash on Netflix. Well, I paint
Oh, yeah.
because I don't really need to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
I can just spray through.
Yeah.
All
It's a
the
fun
stuff.
show.
Yeah. Organized everything for the campfire relief for gamers.
Yeah.
Big deal.
If you're listening to this now, please do not send any more donations.
No.
We are done accepting donations. We were done yesterday. All donations should have arrived. There's a little bit of leeway there, so if something has arrived in the next day or two, but tomorrow's the last day.
Right, we're recording on Thursday,
And
we're going on Saturday.
Saturday morning, we're driving up. So anything that hasn't arrived by tomorrow, I don't know what we'll
But people
do.
can
We'll
still
figure something out.
contribute to the overall relief effort by the link on the website.
Yep, there's donations you can give to the overall relief efforts,
Yep.
which, the area is destroyed, so they could use
they
everything
need all the
they
help.
get.
Yep.
So,
Truly inspirational stuff.
yeah, let me tell you, I want to thank. Initially, I wanted to create a list of everybody that donated, but the way the things came in, there was not really a way for me to effectively do that. And I
Right.
didn't want to leave anybody out. If you have donated to this effort, regardless of whether you've sent in one thing or 5 or things or a whole army in some cases, thank you very, very much.
Yes.
It means a lot to the people who are going to receive this stuff. It means a lot to me that our community is this strong and giving.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. It's really, really incredible how far we've helped push these guys forward.
And
So-
loading those 10 big boxes into my car tonight to get ready
And there's
to
still
go
more.
up there, and there's still
and they
so
are not
much
small
more.
boxes.
They're big
boxes.
boxes.
I'm about 90%. I'm going to be headed up there with you guys. I'm going to have Jax with me, but if we need more room, I can load stuff in
I
as
think
well.
Jody
so.
just either Jody just messaged me and said he's going to come down. He'll bring a truck too, and Steve's
yeah.
bringing
Plenty
a
of
truck.
room.
We got plenty of room.
Yeah.
We're fine on putting stuff.
And you guys are still
places.
dressing up like Santa, or is it too?
No, I'm not.
No? Okay.
That's up to him if he wants to do that.
I have the Santa
That would be
suit.
kind of cool.
But
A black Santa suit, right?
not everybody's
yeah,
going to
yeah.
be there.
All
We're going
black.
up to a game store to deliver everything. Not everybody will be there, but a lot of people will be there, and we've got alternatives on who to hand things
Yep.
to and whatnot. But
Cool.
The game store in Chico, which is going to be kind of the host for this
Yeah.
stuff, it's Heroes Corner
Yep.
Games in Chico.
we'll be there Saturday around noon to 1.
So
you're in
if
that area.
people want to support a local game store that is
Really
doing a
stepping
lot
up.
for the
Yep.
community, and you're in that area, Heroes Corner.
Yeah, I'm excited
throw-
to see the game
throw in
store. To be honest
some
with you.
support.
So very, very cool. I mean, it's been a really nice
Yeah,
venture. I mean, like I'm glad we're helping.
it's a nice warm fuzzy.
I don't
Yep.
I don't feel like I'm doing a lot. Like all I'm really doing is storing the stuff and then taking it up there
Right.
and organizing it. But that's
No,
not.
but yeah, I mean, all the organization that takes time, Carl.
Yeah,
time
but,
away from
but
your family.
it's more about like
Giving an opportunity for everybody else to get involved.
we have this
Yeah.
voice. I'm happy to use it for
Yeah.
something
Right,
good.
right.
And so it's great. So
almost like you're the guiding light of the.
Of the Astronomicon.
in fact,
Well
what's
done.
really cool is this Sunday, so the day after we drive everything up there, I fly out to Belfast for work.
For work, right.
But then I'm going over to Nottingham. So Friday the 11th or 12th, whatever that Friday is, I'm going to be on the live stream video at
Nice.
Warhammer World talking about our gaming community here. For I don't know, whatever, half an hour, whatever it is, and then they're going to go into the painting of all these things and film that and do that.
Oh,
live
nice.
stream.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to go and talk about it some more and so join the live stream.
And kudos to all of you out there for supporting it. It's really, really so cool to
cannot
see
tell
everybody
you.
jumping in.
Now there have been some cases where like clearly people own a lot of Marine stuff. So we received a lot of Marine stuff, even though there's not a lot of Marine players. But what was great was in some cases we saw like Space Wolf players super generous, right? Death Watch.
That
got
dude
a
is
ton of
stacked.
stuff.
Yeah.
So what would happen is sometimes I would get things, even the board game guys, like they got a ton of stuff. In
Yeah.
some cases, they got stuff that was like from Kickstarters that you can't get anymore.
Wow.
So what I did was I took some of these things that came in and I realized, okay, wait, we've got tons of Deathwatch stuff here. I got another Deathwatch starter kit. And the local GW at Los Gatos was kind enough to take that stuff. We had receipts for all of it, so it was great. But I could go over there and exchange for the Deepkin stuff because the guy that wanted Deepkin, there wasn't a lot of Deepkin stuff
Right.
coming in. So I exchanged. Now he's got a bunch of Deepkin stuff. So that's just it was nice
So
to be able
thank
to
you to
be
Warhammer
flexible.
Los Gatos, too.
Yeah. Thank you guys over there very much. Made it super easy to do, and were super helpful and just helped me pick out what needed to go in and
Cool.
whatnot. So Dark Eldar guys are taken care of. Deepkin guys taken care of. We're in good shape.
Cool.
We're in great shape. So so that was awesome. KR Multicase sent over that massive donation of you saw the cases sitting in my living room.
I saw stuff from Table
The
War.
palette.
Or did I say KR Multicase?
You said KR.
Table War.
Table War.
From Table War. Sorry, Doug and Todd.
Oh, God.
Table War
Table
sent
War.
over 15
Table
cases
War.
of stuff, as well
Yeah.
as mats and some other
Dice
goodies
and all
in
kinds.
there.
Yes.
So,
the Table War stuff is deep.
just fantastic. Yeah, I wrote KR in the notes for some reason.
It's Table War.
Thank you. Yes, it was Table War. And also the Crystal Fortress guy sent over a bunch of Crystal Fortress stuff. If you haven't
Cool.
checked them out, I'll put a link to the show notes. It's kind of a cool little display.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the plastic is called, but it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah, and I'll put a link to their site there too, so you can check out kind of their system for displaying your miniatures and even transporting them.
I just saw this next item. It's the first time I had noticed that item there.
Is that so? Wrote a small article for White Dwarf that you'll probably see in the February issue. It's
Nice.
very, very small. It's actually part of Robin Credis' article,
Okay.
which he's going to be writing for the new White Dwarf format every week. And the reason I wrote it,
Every week?
or excuse me, every month. The reason I got asked to write it is because, if you look at the front of the codexes, you see that there's two groups that are typically providing playtesting for those codexes, one being the Mournival and the other being the Infinity Circuit. And since we are members of the Infinity Circuit, we were asked to go ahead and write something and explain how we got involved in this and all that. So it's fine that I see
we can actually
Don's shocked that we can actually talk about that, but clearly we've been given
my
permission
lawyer's
to
calling
talk
me right
about
now.
Yeah.
So
This podcast will self-destruct in
5
So you see my article. I mean,
That's
we're
so
kind of
cool.
we're kind of looking at it from a different angle than those guys in the Mournival who are looking at more like how would this fare in competition. And I mean, we're still looking at those kind of balances and what we think makes sense, but we're really focused on, does this army reflect the lore of the army, and does it work like it should according to the lore? For example, if you had slow-moving Drukhari, that would make no sense
whatsoever.
We would red flag something like that.
Right.
And say, hey, this doesn't make sense. Right?
Or even like if it's hinted at that a certain unit fights a certain way or has a certain type of war gear, and there's maybe not rules to represent that war gear,
yeah,
we can
or
give
the
that
rules
feedback.
feel off for that type of
Yep.
experience. We're providing that kind of feedback, and so
Yeah.
So
I mean, we do give feedback when we feel like things are a little too powerful or too underpowered.
Yep.
Right.
But for the most part,
But we're not all pro tournament players, so
So we are. We've been doing that for a while, and
wow.
So I wrote an article for that. Brian Hardy's writing an article for that as well.
Sweet.
Everybody knows he took part in the Dark Eldar Codex. Well, he's taken part in more than that too. So we're all part of that.
And Adam Faschels,
Adam
Loopy
Faschels
has
as
his
well.
name in the Orc Codex.
Yep. Yeah, which is really cool.
It is.
That's actually the first codex I've seen with somebody's name. In it.
I feel so much lighter that we can actually like kind of talk about this. No, I mean,
we can
obviously,
talk that we're part of it.
Yeah,
that's all we can
say.
Yeah. Anyway, that was kind of neat to be able to write a little article there, and
sweet.
Had to be 350 words.
Yeah, that's
cramming something in 350 words for me is very hard.
I was going to say for you that would be.
I wrote something like 800 words, and then I'm like, okay, now I got to pare down all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So but that was kind of cool. I'm excited about that, and then I cleaned up the Astrocomicon, prepared it for the CK Studios class, and after that, I cleaned up the Astronomicon again.
After the CK Studios, but the place looks great.
Yeah.
And when I walked in, I was like,
everybody was really helpful
with
getting everything torn down. But I still, went through and swept and vacuumed and moved everything back and blah blah blah. So
there wasn't too much airbrush residue all over everything. Okay, really good. Nothing. I was kind of concerned about that.
Nah, I wasn't too worried about it. And people we weren't spraying. There wasn't a ton of. I didn't
even think to bring in my little. I have one of those little room not vaporizers, but like a humidifier kind of deal that sucks in all the air.
Yeah, it was fine in this large of a space. And it's not like we were painting terrain or something.
Yeah.
Most of the overspray's hitting my table.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was me. I really feel good about my hobby progress this last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Golf clap.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been a long time since I've gotten heavily into painting, and I'm just like on this super roll right now. So the other thing I want to do is, once we get our other side of our garage all emptied out of all that furniture and stuff that we have out there, I was talking to Shell about, I want to just little workspace out there so I can start building terrain, wood, do a little bit of wood stuff.
Yeah.
And
you did that a little bit before when you had the old.
Yeah, but I was never
successful
successful at it, so Justin's going to teach that class.
There you go.
So, okay. So let's talk 2000. So we had hobby goals and promises. Last year, we set our annual kind of goals and what we wanted to accomplish. We made commitments for the year. I wanted to talk about how did we do to those commitments.
We did it in 2017. We did it in 2017 too.
Yeah.
Yep.
But let's talk about our 2018 commitments. We don't need to talk.
Do we have to
talk about the 2017 ones we missed? That
Here
we
go.
So I'll go first.
Okay.
I committed to several things. First, I committed to get more Thousand Suns models commission painted by Colin.
Oh, that is so weak.
God.
That is weak.
That was one of my commission things.
It was.
Rebase all infantry for my Minotaurs in Q1 of 2018. Yeah, that did not occur. I finally ordered the bases like Q2 correctly.
You received them in Q4.
And I've received them. They are this this project is kind of a long-term project for me. It's like an ongoing long-term project for me. I'm so into the Thousand Suns right now. I'll get to them. I'm painting Primaris Marines for them. Blah blah blah. I'll get to it.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. Add a Sakaran, 2 Dreadnoughts, and 2 Flyers to the Minotaurs in Q1 and Q2. I've added a Dreadnought and a Sakaran to that army, so I've got those assembled and moved over.
So you're 40% of that.
It's 40% of that. Repaint the Ultramarines Thunderhawk and Minotaur Thunderhawk as a Minotaur Thunderhawk. Nope. Haven't even started that bad boy. It's over there in the corner.
Yeah.
Still painted as Ultramarines. I did sell my Ultramarines, which was not one of the things on there.
Keep going, Carl. You're making me feel better about my commitments.
Good. Get my Black Legion fully painted and tabletop ready. 3,000 points worth would be ready by the end of Q2. This was delayed intentionally by myself because I have a strong suspicion we are going to start seeing new Black Legion models.
Look at the Blackstone photos.
Yep. I think we're going to see a new Abaddon. That's the rumor. But I'm like,
how many days are we away from that?
I feel like every time we mention new Abaddon, it just pushes it out another 3 days.
Well, no. The spear hit the ground.
We got like 67 days.
The spear has hit the ground.
The countdown has started.
I strongly suspect this is coming. I strongly suspect you're going to see Obliterators. I think they're about to get a revamp. Line. Again, this is not anything internal, but I mean, if you look at Vigilus, if you look at what they're doing, and they've got the codexes complete, what's the next logical step? It seems to me like that would be, let's start revamping some things.
I always found it really interesting they chose to focus on specific legions instead of like revamping the core basic line first and then go to like legion specifics. I mean, I understand
but I think the basic Chaos Marine sprue is going to be revamped.
I'm sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Right, but Justin's saying you redid the Space Marines Codex. Why not start with the core dudes first and then do all?
But you did Thousand Suns and Death Guard. And
I mean, don't get me wrong; those are all amazing ranges of models, but just a little curious. So I agree with you. I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of stuff for Chaos.
Yeah, well, especially they've talked about Chaos being the big bad guy.
Exactly.
This is what we're going to see. I'm almost certain of it.
And I'm okay waiting too because their CAD development and their 3D
design
is just
better and better.
So that was what I committed to and what I failed to accomplish, and a little bit of what I accomplished. So, Don,
I don't really want to do this. So when I copy and pasted my 2017 stuff into my 2018 stuff.
Yep. Now you're going to copy and paste your 2018 and your 2019.
It's so bad. So here's the thing. So I started feeling really I got kind of depressed reading this list.
Listen, this is why I set quarterly goals, and you'll see why.
Yeah, because instead of annual goals.
I didn't put on my thing, I'm going to paint a crap ton of terrain.
Right.
Priority shift.
I do.
Okay. Yeah.
All right,
so I got really depressed when we started doing these notes.
I'm so sorry.
So what I did was I went back through and pulled up all the hobby progress that I actually did do.
Okay.
Over the course of the year.
Right.
And because I didn't do anything that's on my list. I'm not even going to read it. But you
did something.
But I did a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. So, and then because I get a lot of crap about buying stuff and not actually building or painting anything, I was kind of worried about that too. But I realized when I looked at the list, my purchases list is only 2 more than my build and paint list. So I actually was pretty well balanced. Right. And so it's things like redoing.
I don't think I can say the same.
Like redoing all my bikes and stuff for LVO last year. I did stuff like the CK Studios 103 class.
Yep.
I did stuff like doing a bunch of stuff with my Dark Imperium Primaris dudes. I actually. So there's a lot of stuff that I actually did do that has nothing to do with the list that was listed there. So
first off, your list was Thunderhawk, Primaris.
It was all based around airbrushing.
Xiphon.
Because when we did this, I had just done the 101 class.
Right.
And I was super stoked.
Super psyched. Sisters of Battle Vehicles, Death Watch, Dark Eldar. You bit off a lot here. Talons of the Emperor, Griffins, IG.
I was looking at all my unpainted stuff.
So I'm
going to do all this.
Give us, other than those, what things did you accomplish?
Well, that's what I was saying.
So 103.
Yeah. 103.
So did the 103 class, which I was working on the night. I did some stuff for the Necromunda doors and barriers because I use it for Zomor's Talus. I worked actually a lot on some of the Cabalite Warriors that I bought because I wanted to do this super dark.
You're now selling?
I'm now selling. The super dark green. Actually, it's a color that's called black green.
Okay.
From Vallejo. I did a bunch of stuff for LVO last year and prepped up my bikes and stuff like that. Got them all going. I bought a bunch of Guardians at Adepticon, and I finished those off and based them.
Cool.
So I got that ready to go. I did. What else? I did a Blitz Bowl team with the airbrush.
Okay.
Before we went to Geek Anime, there's stuff that I did do.
So you know what
But-
you didn't say that you did?
What?
And this is absolutely hobby progress for you.
What?
Is you ran event after event at in-game this year, taking tons of time to do all that stuff.
Yeah,
and
I have that on the
building-
list. And I have it in a different section.
But building a tremendous community up there
That's huge.
is a work of love and hard effort.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that weighs in.
yeah. I mean, ran an escalation campaign, ran a kill team campaign, did the apocalypse.
You
games,
won the
did
best sportsmanship award of that tournament of the hobby progress tournament.
I got the sport. Okay, I'll go with sportsmanship. Yeah,
That's the most important award to me.
There you go. Yeah.
That's a good point, though. I mean, because goals don't have to be paint or game;
No.
they can be running.
Yeah, I guess so. We started a podcast.
Shit, there you
Yeah,
go.
there you
You
go.
didn't
Hobby
mention
progress.
that either, right?
Yeah.
All right. So
But my notes in here actually just put I suck because I didn't
You
actually
don't,
accomplish anything that
Anything
I put on the
that
list. Anything on
Fair
that list.
enough.
I did a lot of other stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Should we go to Justin?
Yes, just do
okay,
that.
Justin.
So I didn't do too awfully bad, but I am realizing that with these, I do need to print it out and stick it on my wall.
Somewhere to
in my-
remind
You know
just,
what? That's the thing.
Let me tell you, at
Just
work,
in black bold writing.
at work, we would set our annual goals,
Yep.
and then the end of the year starting to come around. Oh, hey, let's look at the goals. Oh yeah.
Yeah, ooh.
Oh my God, I'm supposed to do all this stuff.
I do that same thing.
So this
yeah.
is why we do quarterly. Anyway,
But
all
I think,
right.
but Justin makes a good point. If you
gotta
have
remind
you set
yourself.
goals, put them up.
Yeah.
Right. What are your expectations? What do you plan to do? So there, then you're making. If you don't do that, you're making a conscious decision not to do that.
Yeah, you're deferring
Right.
it.
Right.
And Games Workshop is not helping us, guys.
No,
with their
no.
release
No,
schedule
not at
and ooh.
Yeah.
No, not
all right,
at
Justin,
Okay,
what do you got?
So my goals were to to paint a Harlequin army to 2,000 points or 100 power level. I started one.
Assembling it.
No, over the course of the year, I actually did quite a bit of
painted
assembly.
some of them, yeah.
Oh, you did.
I
That's
did
right.
quite a bit of assembly on it, and I'm actually really glad that I waited to really start painting it because I hadn't discovered
The inks.
the dark green
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're
ink.
Now you're gonna be. a
So
little
after the
sad. Okay.
CK class, Dan was super stoked to try out a Harder and Steenbeck brush for the first
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
So I was looking on my garage and like, okay, what model can we? Because we've been airbrushing for 2 days straight. So naturally, when we get home, we're going to airbrush some more, right?
Why not?
Why not? So I grabbed a Harlequin, not to derail too much, but I grabbed a Harlequin and we started painting on it and shooting this Payne's Gray and green ink wash. And it was like, oh my God, that's the color I need on my Harlequin. So in a way, I'm kind of glad that I didn't.
Okay. All right.
I didn't actually do that because this army is going to just,
The Hutter and Steinbeck brush it's like a Ferrari.
it's something.
Yeah.
Until you've shot with one, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so epic fail on the Harlequins, but it's okay. It's
Yeah.
all going to work out. And then next up was finish lots of projects that are almost done.
Okay.
Eldar Corsairs, for example. I would say that's a fail. Mostly because, in my defense, the Eldar Corsairs.
Like we're all super defensive in
my
this.
defense, the Eldar,
Listen, Your Honor.
But you know what though? You know what I would sub out there? Ideneth Deepkin.
Yes.
You slammed the hell out of that.
So there's that, but also
You did
like
a whole army of
Corsairs
that.
really
is a
tying in with Deepkin.
I know,
They
wrong.
got kind of a little bit gutted rules wise from going from being like a
Corsairs.
full army to like how do I even use these guys anymore?
Right. Yeah.
And which is why in the new chapter approved you saw massive points drops and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So didn't really go back on many projects. That being said, though, I did go back on a lot of my Dark Eldar vehicles that I had not touched with the airbrush, and was able to kind of do a bunch of the
Fades
smoother
and-
blends
yeah.
and
Yeah.
fades on them. So there's that.
Okay.
And then yes, Deepkin. A lot of my time went to Deepkin.
But here it comes.
Then you derailed to this.
And then here it comes. So this is one that I kind of forgot I put down, to be honest. And I read it and I went,
Luck
yes,
Yeah, I forgot you put that down too.
nailed it. So that was paint up lots of Death Guard.
Yeah, and you have.
And
Yep.
I think ding, ding, ding. We got a winner.
Yep.
Got really sucked into that army, obviously, as you guys
Yeah.
have heard me talk about. And post
Realistically,
pictures.
we've had one success so far amongst all of us, except for me paying to have an army painted.
Yeah. No, I'm just stoked with what I did with that army.
Oh, they look
and-
so
Yeah,
good.
they're great.
Yeah, that was definitely a good year for me. Paint a table's worth of Eldar scenery to go with a new game mat I picked up. Well, I got the game mat, of course.
What
and,
scenery did you get for that?
None. Didn't even buy it.
Yeah.
And you know why? Probably because I saw Brian painting up all of his, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well,
I'll just use Brian's.
his.
Yeah.
I think I did actually paint up a few little pieces for my Adepticon display board. Really,
Yes, you did. Yeah,
haphazardly.
you did.
So I'll count that. For a little corner of the table has
Yeah,
an
yeah.
Eldar Wraith
And then
Gate.
your last one.
And last one, paint a model to competition level. I can do it!
That's what it
Exclamation
says.
point. You can do it. Definitely a fail.
Yeah.
I still have not painted anything close to what I know I can do. And in a way, kind of tying back to my Harlequin thing, I'm kind of glad that I haven't gotten there yet. Yeah, because I've been reading all these artsy-fartsy, as I've been joining the CK crew, artist books on color and light theory. I picked up Figotopia. Oh, and it looks like Carl's handing me a bunch of books, so he's doing the same. Yep. Figopedia. I'm sorry. Figopedia. This book I've been digesting this lately.
That is a great book.
Amazing. Yeah. So Figopedia and a really fun book called Color and Light.
But here's the thing, right? And I think this goes along with armies too. For example, I've said this about my Ultramarines. If I were going to paint my Ultramarines now, they would look totally different than the Ultramarines I painted before.
Yep.
And so I think you're always going to be improving. At a certain point, you put a stake in the ground and say, "Here's the best I could do at this moment." And
absolutely. I was talking to Caleb about this too, and because it is a big commitment to paint even a single 28 millimeter figure to competition level. But the thing you can always do is have projects like that, which I've never really wrapped my head around before speaking to him about this. That you have a project or 10 that you're working on, and if you get frustrated with something, or if you're like, this is not turning out the way I want, you just put it aside.
Yeah.
You have a little special shelf, you have your little competition pieces you're working on, and just have in the back of your head, once you maybe develop your skills further, or learn how to paint that copper non-metallic metal or whatever it is that you're trying to do better, you go back to that model.
It's a good idea.
And you have a few, just a little back burner, because these competition models are going to take just hundreds of hours.
Yeah.
So if you're not feeling it, just kind of put it aside and come back to it.
So do you think you're going to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would love to see what you came up with.
Yep.
All right, so hobby goals and promises for 2019. I broke mine down into quarters. I even think I made you guys break yours down into quarters too. Here's my thing.
Well, the notes had quarters listed in it. So
I try to help. Q1, focus on terrain, building, painting, and build up. So I said earlier I want to clear this area of a garage, turn into an assembly shop. That's probably not going to happen by March.
But you're rolling the Q4 2018 into Q1 2019.
Yep.
Awesome.
Well, I've been doing a lot of this work lately too. So up in the next 2 weeks, the Big Eagle Gun Fortress, one more Mechanicus building, 2 more Imperial Sector buildings, the 6 remaining Ruin pieces for the Kill Team sets, which are the smaller kind of corner pieces.
This really is going to be Warhammer World West.
Yeah.
And finish off the Wall of Martyrs defense line that I have up there too. So all that will be done, hopefully.
Do you have the full kit?
Yeah.
Full box?
Yeah. I grabbed one of those when it came
You're
out.
going to dremel off all the Cadians?
No.
So let's talk, because when you do that one, maybe you can do mine at the same time.
I could probably help you out.
All right.
I can help you out. You're dealing with the level I'm painting though.
Yeah, that's totally cool. It's better than the level it's at now.
Also going to I want to run the
can't wait for
Urban
this.
Conquest campaign.
Oh, okay.
I'm waiting for that thing to drop because that looks super exciting and I really want to run that. And where am I going to find all the urban terrain to run it in?
Yeah.
So I think we can really have a lot of fun with that system when it comes out. I'm hoping it's really fun.
Yeah.
So for Q1, that's me. Q2, hopefully by this point, I'll be able to begin focusing on Black Legion. What?
Well, I was thinking, since everybody broke it down in quarters, do you want to roll through everybody's different quarters? What do you think?
Go ahead, Adon. What do you want to do
Q1, I'm kind of doing what you're doing, rolling my Q4 2018 into Q1 2019 because the big right in the middle of January is that sale. So I'm focusing on all the things I want to clear out. So the Firestorm Armada, Dystopian Wars, Drop Zone Commander, Drop Ship Commander.
I really like Firestorm
Hordes, Flames of War, Brits. A lot of stuff I'm just gonna get rid of it.
I have a fully painted Firestorm Armada fleet too.
My Firestorm Armada is pretty much all painted too, and we played it twice.
Yeah, it is fun.
And it was fun,
but
I haven't played it since then. It's been what, 2 years?
This is why I'm a single game gamer.
Well, right, and so I'm
still have time for all
I
this
want to
great
try
stuff.
and winnow down to the games I'm actually playing.
Fair enough.
Right. So
Fair enough.
So I'm going to do
Plus
that.
also Firestorm Armada's dead system. So.
Yeah, and then the other thing I want to do for quarter one is build my Age of Sigmar terrain
Okay.
and standardize my 40k terrain, because I have a lot of 40k terrain from different sources.
Yeah.
So they're painted, but they're painted in different looks. So
Right.
I want to standardize them a little bit more.
Super easy to do,
Yep.
dude. I can
Yep.
super help you with that. We'll prime over it black and start over,
Yeah.
and we can knock that stuff out so fast.
Yeah, and I have a bunch of the old Age of Sigmar terrain, the houses and the Witch Tower, and I have all those box sets.
Yeah.
I just need to assemble them. So that's
Some of that Sigmar terrain is so cool.
yeah, it is really cool. So that's my Q1.
Justin, Q1.
My Q1, so to caveat kind of all my quarterly stuff, of course, goes without saying, like CK is going to be like my main focus of just being the best instructor I can, so digesting as much information as I can. So that goes without saying. But as far as my own personal hobby projects, definitely want to get the Deepkin at least 2,000 points.
You kind of
done.
stalled out on that for a bit as you were working on the Death
Because
Guard
I took
stuff.
a 103 class and I painted that Nurgle Titan.
Yeah,
and
yeah, that's what it was.
infested
Set you off.
Infested
Yep.
my soul. So, but my Deepkin project is like, it's so close to just looking amazing.
Your
and I just-
Deepkin project, though, your Deepkin army is tabletop.
It is, but not to like
It's not
2,000
just
points.
in tabletop.
I still
It's
need.
not just in tabletop.
It
It's
still
a Dawn
requires. Those
tabletop.
models are so detailed,
Yeah.
and what I'm planning on doing with them, it's going to take a lot of work. But the building blocks are there. So,
Okay.
sorry guys, I know it's a 40k show, but I got to do that because it just has to happen. And
Okay,
then,
so my Q2
yep.
is then, as I said, I'm hoping that by this point I can start going back to focusing on my Black Legion army, because
Hopefully new models. Yeah.
I'm hoping new models are kind of out by then. Using the skills I've learned in the CK Studio stuff, I'm going to really start hitting those guys with a lot of grays and dark shading and that kind of stuff. So very, very excited to do that. And what else did I have in Q2? Oh, and launch my in-house ongoing campaign for the Astronomicon that I've talked about.
Which we talked about, yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, regardless, the Urban Conquest campaign stuff will feed into that too.
Yeah,
So
it
works.
should.
Works.
It
Yep.
really should.
It's kind of just an overarching thing.
Yeah.
So those two things for me, Q2. Adon, you Q2.
So Urban Conquest is also something I've been looking at.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to be able to get to it in the first quarter.
I suspect highly it's coming out like
Yeah,
this
but I
month
probably
or-
wouldn't be running it right away.
Yeah.
Eric Falskin at Every Little War has a pretty cool little setup in his warehouse where he does his work.
Yeah.
The laser cutting and stuff like that. They have some big tables. They've actually
Right.
run some events there. They have like you can run like four 4x6 tables there, and so maybe I'll run it there. Maybe it end up being a Garage Hammer like revolving game thing. I don't really know. I
You
like
will
running
find
stuff.
something. Yeah.
And so I kind of want to do that. And so I'd love to do. I love Kill Team. I'm not Kill Team, but Cities of Death.
Yeah.
And I love Zone Mortalis.
Those Cities
And so-
of Death rules in
Yeah,
Chapter
Chapter
Approved
Approved.
are
Super cool.
awesome.
Yeah. And so I want to do something like that. And yeah. So that's going to be a Q2 thing for me.
Come run it down here.
And then I want to get.
Come run it down here.
Yeah, it's a lot farther drive than Every Little
I know.
War.
I know.
And because they're in they're in Point Richmond,
Yeah.
and Mike and Josh
I
live
know.
in Point in El Cerrito, but
Fine.
but yeah, I would love to play down here too. And then I also in Q2 want to get my 40K back on track. So with Q1 being able to sell off all this stuff, that's going to unlock my resolution.
Okay.
To let me then fill in some blanks on the things I want to focus on. So my focus for 40K, and I want to focus on in Q2 is getting back to what my basics were in 40K,
Yeah.
which were Order Xenos, Order Malleus, Order Hereticus, and my chapter.
Okay.
And those three ordos were what I started with in 40K.
That scratches all your 40K itches.
Yeah, that was what I started with 40K, the kind of the inquisitional overlay.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, the chapter that I went along with that was Black Templar.
Yeah.
They were kind of that kind of sally forth kind of
Witch
questing
hunters.
Yeah.
kind of thing. So but I'm going to be using my Griffins instead. But I want to get back to my 40K basics.
Very cool. Very cool. Justin, Q2.
This is going to be my kind of rein it in and focus thing. Still need to figure out which specific projects, but I kind of have them in the back of my head. I want to pick a list of 5 things that just need to get finished because I have a lot of models in my collection that just need to get finished to my standard, right?
Right. They're pretty good right now, but you want to finish them.
Yes.
What's an example?
So a couple examples of that would be like my Dark Eldar vehicles. A lot of them still need my tribal markings.
Which look awesome.
Which
by
do
the
look
way.
awesome, but I still have to, so I was going to buy the Fallout stencils and do that. And then we started talking with custom stencils.
Yeah.
And apparently those are coming out soon. So I've been kind of holding off buying them just to kind of see. But regardless, whether it's freehand or whether it's through stencil work, I need to finish that on my Dark Eldar vehicles. Because the ones that have it versus the ones that don't, it's very night and day
But
different.
realistically speaking, you're so good you could do them by hand.
He has done them by hand.
Oh, I have
I
done
know.
all
Yeah,
of them
they're
by hand.
fantastic looking.
And it takes
like
forever.
you even did like the tattoos on like the guy's face and
Yeah,
stuff.
little
So
scarifications
good.
and
So
stuff.
good.
It's just what makes the models like pop
Yeah.
off the board, right?
Yeah.
All that detail. So, and then like, finish up like my Inari characters that I
Yeah.
started forever
Yeah.
ago.
Right.
So I'm going to make a list of 5, and maybe the next show I'll have that list finalized,
Okay.
and then we can document it and see
And
how
cry
well
about
I
it
do.
next year.
Yeah. Next year, go.
'Cause I think 5. I
I
mean,
finished one.
I'm not going to be like, finish up like, I don't know, an army I just started. It'll just be kind of like things,
Right.
tangible goals. I think everybody can look at their collection and go, man, I really need to paint the eyes on eye lenses on my Marines.
Rebasing
or-
all those Minotaurs. That's a huge like
One thought might be pick one of those for each of quarter 2, one in quarter 3, one in quarter 4.
That's not a bad idea.
Don't do all of them in quarter 2.
spread it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because
not a
you
bad
want
idea.
one of the things about goals. Yes, it's nice to have stretch goals, but it's also nice to have goals you can hit.
Right.
Because
Okay.
then you feel like, oh, I can check
point.
the box.
Good
Checking the
point.
box is very satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's me.
Q3.
all right. Q3 for me, I'm hoping, and this is predicated on them coming out by this point, Sisters of Battle Army. I truly believe they will be out middle of the year towards...
That's a safe assumption.
late there. I think that's a fair assumption. I'm going to buy the hell out of that army, and I'm going to paint it
That
myself.
first model they released this
I
week.
am going to
pretty
buy
nice.
the hell out of that stuff.
So that,
But we'd seen that before.
yeah, I know, but that model in mirror image is an art piece. Actually,
Yeah.
it's part of my regular screensaver on my computer.
Yeah.
I have rotating screensavers. That's one of the pictures.
I'm so excited
And
about
that is-
Sisters of
yeah.
Battle.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what they do with all that stuff. Plastic penitent engines. Oh my God, please.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause
plastic,
you could-
plastic immolators or
Exorcist.
Yeah.
exorcists too. I mean,
You could expect all the fine cast kits. They have to get redone.
they
right?
got
I mean,
they
they
got to
yeah.
get rid of
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So good.
Jinx. Okay. Adon.
Q3, July 12th and 13th, I will be in Victoria, British Columbia doing CK Studios 102.
Oh, nice.
Kim's going to go with me. We're going to go to
Very
Victoria
cool.
for the weekend, and I'm going to airbrush my butt off.
Awesome.
And
Sweet, dude.
that always inspires me. I come back and do a bunch of stuff with the airbrush after I take one of these classes.
Yep.
The 102 is it's pretty intense, man.
It's like
Yeah.
leaving Adepticon. I leave Adepticon and I'm so fired up to do stuff.
Yeah, the 102 class, I have to say, honestly, it scared the crap out of me. I mean, I actually secretly was
This is the
kind
orc
of
one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was secretly kind of glad that I couldn't do that class because it intimidated the hell out of me.
I think you'll do great.
But having done stuff,
Part of it.
having done stuff with the airbrush since then,
Yep.
that are kind of some of the similar things. Like I airbrushed some fingers in a sword hilt
Yeah.
and stuff. I was like, okay.
Your brush control after that class is going to be like
Yeah.
insane because
Right,
it's
and-
all detail work
and
mostly.
the brush I love the most, I use the most, is the Sotar. So
Yeah, that'll be
that'll end
perfect.
up being
It's
a
great.
good one.
So yeah, that's my big Q3 thing.
Justin Q3.
It's happening this year. It's happening. I'm gonna pick a piece, and I'm really hoping that Emperor's Children models are out by then. Probably not, but something Slaneshi I can dig my teeth into. Yuck. Or just something that really just grips me. But I need to start a competition piece and really start embracing that part of my journey.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think it's great.
So Q4, by Q4, I want to be working on Black Legion and Sisters of Battle pretty much extensively. Since there's a lot of black in both those armies, I think I'm going to use some of the same techniques on a lot of those things. But then throughout the year, I'm going to sidetrack into Minotaurs the entire time. Just, that'll be my back burner.
Yeah.
Working on, the Primaris Marines and honestly building towards like a 2,000 point list that I can just play. But as much as I like Marines, and they're not, for me, the most fun army to play. They're just
Right.
they're fun, but not the most fun.
Right.
So
But they're easy to take
they're
out and
always
throw on the
fun,
table.
you know,
yeah,
so.
they're easy to take out and throw on the table.
Right.
Right.
So they'll continue to sit there for me. Q4 to you, Adon?
Q4, I really want to. I think that'll be enough time. I really want to be able to kind of help organize and or participate in a nice big signature event.
Okay.
Whether that's here where we have 10, 12 people and it's a themed event, or whether it's at somewhere else.
Apocalypse game.
Apocalypse game. Whatever. I wanted. I enjoy. I have to just basically own the fact that I really do enjoy putting those things on.
Yeah, you're great.
And I was looking at the pictures again from the Apocalypse game we did last month.
Yeah. So
Such
good.
a good time.
Yeah.
It was so good. And I didn't put a single model on the table. And I had a blast.
I don't think Justin's ever played Apocalypse.
I have.
Oh.
I ran Apocalypse back in the day, and it made me want to kill myself.
I don't think you played it right.
I did not play it right. You're absolutely right.
Don plays it right.
I mean, a couple times I would play against a buddy, like we'd set up the 5,000 point game,
Oh, no,
and then
that's
I would get first turn and wipe out half his
That's
army
not
with
the
my
way to
Eldar.
do it.
It's just you got to do it in big group things.
Yeah. And it's
Adon's kick butt. They are super fun.
I really enjoy putting that event on, and I sat back and I was thinking to myself, just own it.
Yeah, for sure.
You like doing it, so
Sure.
Justin, Q4.
Enter a painting competition of some kind and place, because all through that whole Q3 will be painting.
Well,
up
if you
that
enter
piece.
it, you're going to play somewhere.
Well, place. We'll say place top
what you're
three.
saying.
We'll say place top three.
Ooh, that's big.
So one thing to think about is what kind of events are there in Q4 that
That's-
have painting
yeah, that's
competitions.
what- yeah, that's
so
what I have
maybe
to look
you
at.
might want to think about just an idea. Maybe push that piece of it into Q1 of 2020, because in Q1, for example, is Adepticon.
That's probably accurate.
Crystal
Q1.
Rush top 3.
That would be.
But the other
That'd
thing
be
is
something.
in Q2 is KublaCon, which
that's true.
That's
they
probably
ha-
more.
which
more-
might be
KublaCon.
That'd be a
might
good
be more
toes wet
attainable.
kind of thing.
KublaCon would be a good toes wet thing for you,
Yep.
for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking
And
of-
if you were going to start sooner, you could look at PacificCon in September.
That's true.
Yeah, I'll talk because you're like the event guy, so I'll say, hey, what makes the most sense for me to really kind of get that timeline?
KublaCon is a really good, and there's some competition there, but you're also going to.
Well, another thing you could look at is look at like maybe Warhammer Citadel and see what kind of events they're doing, because they often will do painting competitions as part of their event.
Go out and visit Doug.
Yeah.
I'll be visiting him soon.
Yeah, speaking of events, so Adepticon in March.
Yep.
I just got my room for Nova open, so
Oh, did you?
I'm pretty certain I'm going to Nova. open.
I almost went this last year. I was thinking about doing
I really
it last
want
year.
to go check it out.
I cannot believe it's Adepticon already again.
It's not yet.
Oh, well,
But it's coming.
Soon
Yeah.
enough.
I can't
It's
wait.
just
March.
like-
Yeah.
Did I buy my plane ticket? I need to check see if I bought my plane
Yeah.
ticket.
But another part of my thing too is all throughout the year, at some point, I need to play in at least one grand tournament. So
You
at
should.
some point throughout those quarters,
Yep.
kind of it's get that and finish it.
KublaCon,
Not play
KublaCon,
one game.
they're doing
They're doing a big.
the
That's Bay Area Open. Is that
ITC thing
KublaCon?
at
That's
KublaCon
true.
now.
Yeah. That might work
Try
out
it.
perfect.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Games played real quick because this segment is now an hour and 15 minutes.
Right, but it's this annual thing.
This
so-
is our annual.
That's right.
As you'll hear about in a little
refunds
bit.
are in the mail.
So I've played a couple games. I played a 76 power level
Where the
game
hell did that
against
come from?
Jody. So it's supposed to be 75 power level, and Jody came in a point over, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. I don't care. Go ahead.
That's like the Blood of Kittens 1503 tournaments.
But then I realized, oh well, if I just drop this Exalted Sorcerer and take Armin instead, I'm at 76 also. So okay, let's do 76 points. So that was what it wound up. It just wound up because and then he realized he had his list was wrong and he had way too many points, so he pulled out more stuff.
Oh wow.
And we wound up at 76 power level, which it didn't matter. I didn't care that he was a point off. I just like using Armin. This game against his Khorne Demons was honestly one of the best games of last year I played.
Wow.
It's in my
It's
top
super thematic.
3 at
Super
least.
thematic.
Corn on Zinch.
And at the end of the game, there were 3 units left on the table.
Total.
If
You had 2 left, or there was 3
I had
left?
I had 2 units left. He had
Wow.
1.
Wow.
If I could have kept him off an objective with a 5-man squad of Rubric Marines, I would win.
Wow.
So I had my guys all set up, ready to take this charge of bloodletters, and my psyker blows himself up and I have no command points left, and takes out a bunch of guys with him.
Oh no!
And so I have one lone River Marine standing there as this horde of bloodletters just pours over him.
Wow.
And he won the game.
Thematic is that?
It was
That's
amazing.
cinematic as hell.
It was amazing.
That's something right out of a movie.
And I had just run out of command points the round before.
Oh wow!
The warp is fickle.
It was so fun. Dude, I mean, the reality is you are throwing so many psychic dice with this army.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Inevitably, you are. Like, I usually reserve command points just for
Perils
this
of warp.
occasion.
Yeah.
But, but man, what a great game that was. Jody and I had so much fun. And it was, every turn was, oh, I'm in trouble. And then every turn, Jody's like, I'm in trouble. And it just kept going back and forth.
That's awesome.
So,
Bloody
amazing
fun.
game. Amazing game. By the way, is Bloodthirster made mincemeat out of my Demon Prince.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
really?
Just
Yeah.
devoured him.
Come here, son.
Demon Prince tore up his defiler, and then the Bloodthirster's like, oh yeah,
Hold my beer.
So many attacks,
it was so good. All right, and then I played a kill team game against Anthony's son Isaac to teach him a little bit about kill
Cool.
team.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, and he crushed me. This stupid Tau sniper.
Yeah.
causing all this
Did he have
damage.
a remote?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But he was causing all this damage. Honestly, I was running guys out in the middle. So,
Oh,
like,
let
this
him
is how it
practice?
shoots.
Yeah.
But that Tau sniper, like, you got to deal with it.
That's a good story. Stick to that.
No, would have been great. Would have been great. But he took out my sorcerer right away,
Oh.
who I put out there so he could shoot at him.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, we'll go with that.
But he enjoyed
That's
it.
what I'm going with. Adon,
Yes.
shut up. Adon, you?
So December 31st was the last day that anybody could play the upstairs at Endgame. And Mike, I hit up Mike and said, hey, dude, we should play that day.
It's our final game. We
It's the
played
final-
so many.
Yeah. And he was like, that's a great idea. And he wanted to play his Rising Suns, which is a fantastic. If you've never seen pictures of
He
his
has a
Rising Suns
beautiful
chapter,
Kind of like
chapter.
samurai themed.
samurai themed, that he started painting when he
Space
was in
Marine, yeah.
Japan. He lived in Japan for 16 years. All the kanji on them are actual kanji. They actually mean something.
Yeah.
The army is super well themed. It's just amazing army. Anyway, he wanted to play that army. Obviously, that's his main 40k army. And so I said, well, I'll bring my Eldar. And so and he was like, oh, that'd be perfect. Eldar versus Space Marines. That he loves killing, Xenos heretics. So we played this game. It was 50-ish power level.
51.
Yeah, 51 and a half.
76.5 power level.
So it was on a 4x4, and we
Chapter-proof,
just
right?
had a blast. And it was one of these games where he's like, oh, he kept saying, oh, I'm just gonna get killed. Oh, I'm just gonna get killed
Yeah.
because I have
Those are the
wraith.
best.
I have a wraith heavy army, and we played open war. And the mission that we picked, and this was kind of funny. I thought about Justin a lot about when we were doing the things that he pulled out a deployment and he goes, oh, okay, that's pretty good. He pulled out a mission. Oh, okay, it's basically kill everything, and which he likes. Okay, kill everything. And then it came to the twist. He pulled a card. He goes, no, that sucks. And we pulled this. Oh no, that sucks. I said, what is it? It sucks. Don't worry about it. So he just pulled. He just pulled one. He's like, oh yeah, this one's pretty good. So it kind of goes back to that.
Yeah.
You pick.
If you don't think you're going to enjoy
if you don't
it,
think you're going to enjoy it, then just change it.
Yep.
And so we did.
I mean, don't be a beardy git about it, and try to
Right,
game
right,
it,
exactly.
But yeah,
And so it was a super fun game. It came down to the very end that it was number of power level that you've killed.
Yeah.
Was the victory condition.
Yeah.
And I was ahead of him by 2 points. And in the last round, he ended up killing my Spirit Seer, which was the 3-point model. So he won by 1.
wow.
The
Awesome.
very last
You guys
bottom of
both
the
had
very
super
last turn.
bloody close games. Yeah.
And it was a blast. We had a
Yeah.
great
Yeah,
time. And at the end, I added it up afterwards because it turns out he was at 52 power level, not at 50. That's why I said 50-ish. I think I actually won. But the bottom line of it is that it came down to his HQ against my HQ.
Yeah.
Like almost all of our games end up coming down to that. And the last dice rolls in the very last bottom of the very last turn. Isn't that what you want, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I hate tabling somebody. I just don't like doing it.
No,
I don't
it's not-
like being
it's not-
tabled.
if you're at a
Literally is
tournament,
fun.
Oh, yeah, if you're in a tournament,
beautiful,
sure.
but
That's
yeah,
a
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
different thing,
environment.
But when
right?
I'm
Yeah.
playing my friends, I don't like tabling somebody. I certainly don't like getting tabled. Having it go down to the very last rolls on the very last
You can't
turn
ask for more.
to have it win or lose.
Yeah.
Of course, my wife says, why don't you just roll a die and say who won at the beginning?
No,
but
you miss out on
like,
all that.
You don't get the point.
stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
all those cool
the
things that
stories we
happen.
were telling, the things we were saying, he turns around. I mean, one guy ended up charging a single dude, and the dude pistol shot him in the face and killed him. I mean, just stuff like that he and I are going to be talking about that forever.
Game
right?
super thematic.
So the very last game, and nobody else showed up on New Year's Eve
Imagine
day
that.
to play, and so we ended up playing the very last game for the very last
that's
time
great.
upstairs, and it really, I really can't think of anything that was more appropriate. Mike was the one who was actually responsible for running the mezzanine,
Yeah.
so it was a really kind of
Bittersweet.
fine, but it was a fine ending to that era. So
Sure.
it was a blast. We had a
Good
great
send
time.
off.
Yeah.
All right, Justin,
I got a game of Kill Team in.
Yay!
Finally. What'd you think?
I dug it.
It's
Yeah,
super
it's
fun.
cool.
Really fun. Yeah, I mean, it was very much a learning game, but like
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like reading over it, looking through the rule book. Okay,
You realize,
I could
like,
really see.
oh, I get covered from this, and you're -1 because you're over halfway, and there's a lot of missing going on in my
Yeah.
shooting phase.
And Eric over at Variance Hammer was kind enough to send me some, because he always hears about me like crying about my dice. So he's like, he has his own dice. So he sends me a pack, hey, try these. They're the most statistically accurate dice in the world, and they're going to roll amazing. Oh boy. So, but still, regardless, I got to see how the game worked. Your dice are really nice. I still roll like crap.
Statistically random.
Statistically 1s and 2s, yes.
Well, did you see the pictures from my game? My very first roll for my very first thing
Yeah, it
was
like
a 1.
1. Yeah.
I
But
seized the initiative on Jody, so
That's
I was
good.
happy about that.
I really enjoyed it, and I dug the fact of like looking through the rules of like, man, I've always wanted to kind of paint those Gene Stealer cult models, but I don't want to do a whole army. Well, here you go.
I love
This is
this
a
line you
perfect
wrote in
example.
here.
Like, I kinda
love
wanna-
this line. This is so cool.
Kinda
This is
want a
exactly what
Mechanicus
Kill Team's
army,
about.
Too. I'm in the same boat.
Because you're saying here that
small kill teams, just random small hobby
Yes.
commitments.
Yep.
Every once in a while, we all need. I like to call it a palate cleanser.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm tired of painting Nurgle. Oh my god, I need to or to do something that's totally outside of your normal realm. Like
Right.
obviously,
Tau.
our listeners know like I don't tend to play Imperial armies.
Right.
But this would be a rad excuse to paint up like
Some Space Wolves.
some
Yeah.
Primaris Marines or whatever the case may
the
be.
Reavers are awesome in Kill Team.
Yeah, and the models are fantastic.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I really enjoyed it, and I'll be buying all of it soon.
You don't even need to, though. That's
you
I'm
the
going to get the
thing.
main book. I'm going to get Commanders.
Well, get the book. You
The
need
commanders,
the rule book.
the
but
commanders
need
you don't really
commander
need.
book. Nah.
I like. See, I think it'd be fun though, just to play.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it bumps up your point level. They have
200,
specific
right?
rules.
They take like 90 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes more.
But I almost feel like it's more fun to build the smaller teams and go with the regular rules.
I haven't played a commander game yet, so I don't
Yeah.
know. But I do know they play on a specific like missions,
Right.
that are set aside for
I
them.
like how quick it was, and we did this funky mission where I was trying to prevent. He was using his Necrons, and I busted out my Dark Eldar, and I was trying to like prevent him from escaping off the board.
Yeah.
Were you trying to escape off?
He was trying to escape off.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't wrap myself nearly well enough, and he
Yeah.
just had really good advance rolls and just
Wait
shot off the
till
board.
you play like a 3 or 4 person kill team game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a whole different experience.
Just don't
Oh,
play
I'm sure.
Assassinate. I hate that mission.
Fair enough.
So-
But no, I really enjoyed it. But the work and holidays has just been kicking my butt, so I haven't really been.
But
able
I'm
to
really glad to hear you enjoying Kill Team because
Super fun.
it's that's exactly you're the kind of person I picture with being able to do random small kill teams because you like to kind of jump off for a week and hit a different project.
Yep, for
and
sure.
and then it allows you to play it too.
Yep.
All right, we're an hour and 24 minutes into our hobby progress section.
Nice.
This might be a new record. It is our annual.
Yeah.
Okay. Which we'll talk about annuals in a little bit. Don and I will. So next up, we're going to go into part 1
The year
of
of
our
review.
year in review.
Yep.
It will just be Don and I for 5/6 of that because we recorded that segment first, and Justin showed up a little bit behind because of work and holiday stuff. And then Justin will be joining us again fully for part 2. So sit right back and enjoy. You got some painting to do it now.
And I want to thank Justin for actually not coming directly from work covered in mud. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Steve.
you're welcome.
We appreciate it. All right, we'll be right back after this break.
Great Scott, 00! Foam Finger's destroying all the models with his rough touch.
Oh, Mullins Penny. Don't you worry. Jond is on the case.
How is that, John?
I'm going to warn the world that they should be using the soft blue foam with the hard cases. Foam Finger will never ruin another model again.
You mean Operation KR? Is the world ready for that, John?
The world is ready. I'll make sure of it. The only way is to spoil Foam Finger's plans.
Hard cases with the soft foam is the only answer. You've convinced me, John. Let's move forward with Operation KR.
The name's Jond. Jimmy Jond.
Oh, John. See? Give 00 John the figures for this mission.
Go to krmulticase.com for some of the best storage and transport solutions for your army. Match almost limitless combinations of cases and trays in the KR transport system to suit your personal requirements. Reasonably priced, KR allows you to transport your minis safely to and from the tabletop, no matter where that battlefield is.
Hard on the outside, soft in the middle. KR Cases is where John always gets his foam. KR Hard Cases for soft blue foam.
All right, so we're going to kick off our year in review without Justin.
Right.
Initially. He's running late.
For now, he's covered in mud.
Right. He's been working hard. And so we will start without him.
Right.
He should be here for part 2 of this.
So when you start hearing his voice, he got here.
Right. And we will record the hobby progress section, which you've already listened to with Justin.
Right. So you don't even know he's not here yet.
Right.
So
but he's not here yet.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's kick it off.
All right.
So first off, holy cow. And I say this every year.
Yeah.
I say, this has been a year that blew my mind. And this year, I think nobody would disagree. The pace, it's like a boulder rolling downhill.
Yeah.
Ever since, honestly, 7th edition.
Well, for me, it was when 8th edition, they announced 8th edition, the roll up into 8th, and then since then going kind of downhill
But
from
even
there.
before
Not
then,
downhill,
like when we did the coverage in 7th edition was kind of the king of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like you had all these things coming out for it every month that weren't codexes per
Right.
se, but there were mission books and
Yeah.
all these crazy things. So it
Yeah,
felt fast.
Yeah, I think 2018 feels the impact feels greater because there's so many codexes that
Yeah,
came out.
for sure.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And
Yeah.
and I think it's sped up more than ever before.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. So okay, January.
Yes.
So we're going to break these down as we do every year. We're going to talk about what came from what we call GW Prime, which is actually called the studio,
Right.
the Games Workshop studio. We'll talk about what Black Library put out, what Forge World put out, if there were other third-party things.
Video games or whatever.
Yeah, I kind of went light on the video games
Yeah, I
this
noticed
time
that.
around. There was a lot of video games.
There was. Some of them which aren't around anymore.
Yeah, I don't think any have come out that really blew my mind this year.
Right. Did you play Inquisitor?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't blow your mind.
Yeah. I know the one you're talking about. That was actually a good game. Like I played quite a bit of
Yeah.
it, and it's gotten better, but I've kind of lost interest. It's a Diablo thing. Anyway,
Right.
let's get back to it. So
Okay.
January comes out. Games Workshop Prime, the Games Workshop Studio, Codex, Chaos Demons.
Yes.
Along with the data cards, the great Unclean One plastic.
Yeah,
model.
that plastic model was amazing.
It's still amazing.
And seeing what people have done with it is just so cool.
I mean, you only used to be able to get that type of model from Forge World.
Right.
And I think the ability to configure it in different ways,
Yeah.
that
Getting
is
it in plastic. Yeah.
it's an incredible looking model.
Yeah. And I think that the the whole kind of his little entourage of
Yeah.
other guys that came out with them.
Yeah.
The Herald of Nurgle, the two different Heralds of Nurgle,
Sloppity Bile Piper,
and the Slippox Scrivener,
Spillpox.
Slippox, whatever.
Yeah.
The Smallpox Scrivener. I mean, those guys, the Beasts of Nurgle. I mean, this is when you started really seeing this Nurgle stuff really, really trying to explode. It's really cool, I thought.
I have to say the Nurgle terrain, the Feculent Gnarlmaw,
Yeah.
not too impressed
No,
with that.
me neither.
Like that one kind of came and went without a lot of.
Well, I think that and again, it's just my opinion, but they kind of holding
Let me
on.
say, this whole
This
show
whole thing
is our
opinion,
opinion.
yeah.
So
But I mean, it feels to me like they're trying to hold on too much to the 3 trees stuck in a plastic base model, and I don't know. I just think that it failed. It suffers from that.
I didn't find it to be particularly exciting.
But the other stuff was pretty cool. The other thing that came out that month, I believe, was the Adeptus Custodes Codex.
Yeah, sure did.
And talk about something that really made an impact on the meta.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, I would really like to see GW come out with rules for some of those Forge World models
Oh, yeah.
that are gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, there's too much left on the table there that can't be used in 40k right now.
Right.
That I think.
The transports
let's see what happens.
and the big ship and stuff. Yeah.
And those.
Beautiful
I saw
looking.
Collins. Collins just killed those.
Well, and the people who like they do the candy apple red
yeah.
and gold.
Yeah, that's
It's
what
just-
Colin did.
Yeah,
and
just
he knows how to
isn't-
do transfers. They just look beautiful.
Right.
So, okay. So, yeah, the codex comes out. And with each of these codexes, it should be said, there's usually dice that come out with them.
Yep.
The cards that come out with
Yes.
them. So, I mean, you're getting kind of the same package with each one that comes out.
Correct. Right. So if we fail to mention the dice, it's not that we didn't
And
like
usually
your dice.
some special edition of one of them
Yeah.
comes out.
Yeah. Special editions seem to be something that and it's funny because people say, well, it's priced too high. Well, they sell out within 30 minutes, so they must not be priced too high.
I think they don't print a lot of them. I've kind of stopped buying them like I used to buy
Yeah.
them. Like even for
There's only
Thousand
some that I
Suns,
buy.
yeah, I wouldn't buy one just because I use it too much and I'm just
Yeah.
going to beat it up. And
I bought the Vigilus.
I bought a lot of 7th edition ones. They're now in a box, and I kind of learned my lesson.
But
for
the
me.
Vigilus one, I bought the
Right.
special edition one because I like the extras that came with it. It just depends on what it is. If like the Sisters of Battle one, I will buy the special edition.
I don't know if I will.
I definitely will. But that's also one that I will end up buying the electronic version as well.
Well,
And
that's what I
I'll
was
probably
going to
end up
say. A
using
lot
that
of times
one
I
more.
buy them multiple times
Right.
based on.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, the Adeptus Custodes Codex comes out.
Trajan Valoris.
Yep. The Adeptus Custodes Custodian Guard get released as an individual box.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I think they were only in like the Eagles of the Empire.
Talons of the
Talons
Emperor.
of the Empire. That's what.
Emperor.
Emperor. You get the Adeptus Custodes Vertus Praetor jet
There you
bikes.
go. Those are the those are the
killers.
killers.
Yeah.
Yeah. The jet bikes really stormed onto the scene. I mean that they are everywhere.
The Alaris Custodians and the Custodes Custodian Wardens.
Custodes Custodian Warrior. Yes.
The naming of these is killing me. It's killing me. It's killing. These models, listen, you know, like a lot of things in 40K, when I first saw them, I was like, oh, okay, they're okay. And they grew on me. And as I started to see the vehicles and the bikes, and especially like Trajan Valoris,
Yeah.
like I see those models, I see the Forge World like Captain one that they put out.
Oh, yeah.
I was just
I have
now I'm kind of blown away by them.
Well, one of the things that I really like about it is they hit the scene, and then you start seeing people doing different things with the color schemes and with the way that they represent them.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is really cool, is to see people's creativity overlaid onto these awesome models.
Yeah.
Because the models are well done, and the detail is awesome. And you kind of know that's going to be the case.
Right.
Whether or not you like the styling of it is a whole different thing. But what I really like about it is it unlocks people's creativity, and seeing what they do with it is, I think, is pretty awesome.
For these, like, I'm pretty partial to the standard
Are you?
color scheme.
Yeah. I like the black and gold that I've seen.
I like the gold with the crimson
Yeah, you like that
stuff. Yeah, I like that a lot. Or I could see gold with purple too. Like purple cloaks would look cool.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, I think that's a really great release, to be honest with you.
Yes.
I think they're a great kind of attachment to units. Armies on their own, I mean, they can be tough, but I think they're getting pulverized right now. So,
Well, that's what people are tooling for now.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
So it's like Knights were, right? People.
Knights are still crushing it.
Yeah. But I mean, remember in 7th Ed, everybody was tooling their armies to deal with Knights.
That is true.
Yeah.
Okay, so January still. Let's go to the Black Library. You
Yes.
have Sons of the Hydra by
Yes.
Rob Sanders. Have you read this?
Yes. I have not.
I have not read this one yet. Castellan by David
I'm
Annandale.
embarrassed to say that I haven't read the Alpha Legion novel.
You should be.
I know my arm is hurting now. My tattoo is starting to burn into my skin.
True. Rogue Trader Omnibus by Andy Hoare. So this is an older series that
Right.
gets. This is actually a pretty interesting story. I also like Andy Hoare's writing. So,
Right.
The Primarchs, Ferrus Manus, The Gorgon of Medusa by David Geimer.
Right.
And then Fulgrim, the Palatine Phoenix by Josh Reynolds.
Right.
Forge World, nothing really released here.
I don't remember that.
Nope,
Yeah.
nothing in January. And then the Heroes of Blackreach board game comes out.
Yeah. Have you played it?
This actually, at this point in time, if I remember correctly, it's only available in Europe at that point.
Oh,
It
okay.
just recently became available here in the U.S. I could be mistaken on that, but I have not played it. I've looked at it in the store and I've been like, I think I'm gonna pass.
Well, I remember because we got a free game piece for it in White Dwarf,
right?
But I couldn't find the game anywhere because it wasn't being
I
sold
think
in the
that's
US.
why.
Yeah.
And I did see it over at our local game store.
Oh, did you?
Recently, and I kind of looked at it and I was like, I think I'm gonna skip this one.
Yeah.
Which is unusual for me to skip.
Right. Exactly.
Anything 40K related,
especially Ultramarines related.
Yeah. February rolls around.
Okay. Calm down, big guy.
The month of change. So Thousand Suns with their data cards and dice and all that get released from GW
and
Prime.
Carl loses his mind.
Nah, I mean, this is what I'd been waiting for a while. The models were already out, so this wasn't like there wasn't like a huge model release.
Right, but I remember you were waiting for this before you decided what you were going to put together to have Carl to start painting. And
right,
stuff, yeah.
because they were really, really struggling
Right.
in the index, and so super excited that this came out. And since this point, and since getting these painted, like this has been the army I'm playing.
Right.
Well, this and the Chaos Demons, but this is it for me for now. I used to be all Nurgle.
Right. No.
All Zeech now.
All that's changed.
That's right. That's it really for February though. From Prime, we get Black Library releases The Magos by Dan Abnett.
So good. I liked it.
You're a big fan of it.
Yeah, I liked it.
It was good.
I didn't like the ending.
I don't do any spoilers.
I won't.
But it was good. I didn't feel super compelled to finish it, but at this time too, I was like, I finished it, but like I wasn't. Normally, I get a Dan Abnett book, I like knock it out right away.
Right.
But I
You
was
read
kind
so
of
fast, too.
I was kind of in a point where I wasn't reading 40K at this point. Like I just needed a break from it. It's still good. It definitely has like the Dan Abnett feel to it, right? Like there's certain things he does that I saw in this novel all the time. He's good at making like spooky chaos stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. There were a lot of short stories included with it, but I had read all those short stories prior, so I just went right to the Magos.
Right.
So.
Right.
Still glad I bought it. Glad I read it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd still like him to finish the Beckwin trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, I
Let's go back to Beckwin.
Yes, I would like to see that too, and I was kind of hoping it was going to be in this book, and it wasn't. Yeah.
No, it won't be. I mean, it's supposed to be 2 more novels.
Yeah.
So anyway, Lucas the Trickster by Josh Reynolds, so Space Wolves. Knight's Blade by Andy Clark comes out, which is obviously all about
Knights? With blades?
Yeah. And then Horus Heresy, The Burden of Loyalty, which is a 8-story compilation book.
I think that's the one I'm listening to right now, actually. Is that the
Oh,
one
is
that, is that the one that starts off with the
I gotta tell you,
The Space
I'm
Wolves?
not gonna be able to remember at this point.
Okay.
There's so many. I've read so much this year.
Yeah, I think I actually was listening to it on the way over here.
Oh, cool. All right. Forge World. Forge World releases Necromunda Gang War 2. The Underhive Bad Zone Delta 7, which are just new tiles. The tiles you could buy separately for Necromunda.
Which I bought, for sure.
The Vargar Wolfguard Terminators, which people hate the fur on the cloaks.
The banana fur.
The banana fur is what they say. And I was defending it for a while. I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. And the more I looked at it with Mullins, I was like, okay.
So this is the opposite effect of
I see what you guys are talking about. Like the fur is pretty rough on these things. Also, this Space Wolf Legion Praetor again runs into the fur issue. Necromunda Hired Guns and Hive Scum.
I like this.
Yeah?
I like the release. I mean, I don't play Necromunda because they haven't released a faction I want to play yet, but I'd really like...
They've released all the factions now.
But I like... Well, they haven't released Arbites. But,
oh, okay.
And they're not going to, but...
Never say never.
I'm pretty sure they said they weren't going to.
Oh, I don't
Mark
know.
and I were talking about this, but I love this idea of the hired guns and being able to do these kind of one-off little things that they can add in and here and there and guns for hire. I really like the idea.
Yeah. You know, I'm not playing a lot of Necromunda right now, but it's the kind of game where I'm like, I really want to, as opposed to like Blood Bowl, where I'm like, I want to like it, but I don't. I do like Necromunda. It's just right now to play that takes away time from Kill Team and time from 40K and it really requires a campaign. Like for it to shine, it kind of
does. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that really appeals to me about it is the small model count, kind of skirmish level, kind of like Kill Team.
Yeah,
I like those kind of smaller kind of games, but I just haven't been able to get into it.
Just because it's not your.
Well, I haven't seen none of the factions have really like spoken to me a lot, but
I think I'm pretty impressed with them. And then
they're
of course,
well done, yeah.
Yeah. And then of course, Rogel Dorn, Primarch of the Imperial Fist gets released. I think it's a fantastic model.
Yes.
I think it's I don't think it's the best one. I still think Ferrus Manus for my money.
Yeah.
Although Alfarius is freaking phenomenal. Alfarius is
I don't mean to sound
really,
like a fanboy, but I think they knocked it out of the
No,
park
I
with
think
that
you're
one.
right.
Yeah.
I really think you're right. Like Alfarius made me want to play Alpha Legion.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually Omegon, but nobody knows that.
Depends at what point in time you're in the heresy you're talking about. Anyway, so yeah, that's it for Forge World. March rolls around.
Yes.
Again from the main studio, Codex Tau Empire.
Yes.
Also Necron Codex.
Yes.
Double Codex in a month, which is just fantastic again.
Right.
They are just pumping these out super, super fast every time.
I mean, this is another month where we've talked about 2 codexes in 1 month.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy.
For people who are new to the hobby, they're not going to understand
right.
how amazing that is
Yes.
when this company was putting out 2 codexes a year,
Yeah.
maybe 3 codexes a year if you got lucky.
Right.
One of those might be yours.
Right.
You know?
And if you were a Dark Eldar or Sisters player or Demon Hunters
good luck.
player, good luck.
Good luck with that. Or Dark Eldar in particular.
Yeah. 13 years.
So those 2 codexes come out. There is some terrain released for Age of Sigmar.
Right.
Which the reason I mentioned that is because most of the Age of Sigmar stuff we're not going to talk about
Right.
here. And in fact, if you want to hear Age of Sigmar stuff, you should go over Lords and Heroes and take a listen to Lords and Heroes.
Yeah, we're hopefully we're releasing soon, but we're going to be doing a similar type look at just at the Age of Sigmar
Just
stuff.
the Age of Sigmar
and maybe some other game systems.
Okay. But the Hallowheart and Azerite ruins could still be used in 40K.
Yeah,
without
the Blasted Hallowheart is actually it's one of the Realm of Battles kits where there's tiles.
Yeah.
And it's double-sided.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Oh wait, it's double-sided?
Yeah.
I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
it's double-sided.
They're the big like the Realm of Battle boards?
No, they're card stock, and you unfold them, and it makes a table size. It's not quite 4x6.
Okay.
But it's double-sided. There's like a blasted side and a
got it. That's right.
non-blasted
That's
side.
right. Okay.
And and the Azerite ruins could definitely be used in 40K.
They can.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing, though. I think they definitely have like an Age of Sigmar personality.
Oh,
to them.
absolutely.
I mean, and that's just the interesting difference between the 40K terrain and the Age of Sigmar stuff. It definitely feels Age of Sigmar-y.
Yes. But I think that you could use it if you were going to do like a Thousand Suns themed table.
Yeah, for sure.
Or even a Codex Demons
themed
for
table
sure. Where you're going into something that feels more fantasy-like.
Yeah. I could see that.
Because to me, any kind of magic overtone, heavy magic overtone, I think would
feels
play
appropriate
well with
in that area. I agree with you. I'm just saying the thing I'm talking about there is that it's interesting that the stuff they are doing for Age of Sigmar has its own personality.
Oh yeah.
When the profile of a Stormcast, I think it was Jody or Josh that we were talking. It was Jody was saying the profile of a Stormcast Eternal to him is even more recognizable than the profile of a Space Marine.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I guess I could see that.
I mean, I think there's a lot of science fiction type of space armor stuff, but I think the Age of Sigmar, that armor is very unique to.
Yeah, no, they did a good job of making it immediately recognizable.
I kind of doubted Jody when he said that too. I'm like, really? But I have to get rid of my bias for 40K. Anyway.
And I've actually seen some people do some interesting conversions with Stormcast Eternal stuff into 40K too.
Oh, have you really?
Yeah. Well, they use bits and parts of it. They won't necessarily use the whole model.
Right. Okay, Black Library releases Carcharodons Outer Dark by Robbie McNiven.
Yeah.
I
need a bigger ship.
I have not read this one. I did read the previous one, which I thought was great. Robbie McNiven has written some pretty interesting stuff about the Carcharodons, and in the one I read, they were fighting like Night Lords in a prison thing. It's a pretty good story. Like
kind of Zone Mortalish.
Yeah, you might want to check his stuff out. It's pretty
cool.
interesting. Cult of the Spiral Dawn by Peter Ferrari? I can't pronounce his last name.
That's how I would say Favari.
Peter F.
Peter F. Yeah.
Which is all about Gene Stealer cults.
Yeah.
So if you get your Gene Stealer cult fix there. Forge World comes out with
Here we
the
go.
Legio Custodes Shield
Shield
Captain. This is the
Captain.
guy I was talking about
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
This is an
Great
amazing, beautiful model, and
Yeah.
I've seen it painted really well. I think I saw it painted by Colin.
Right.
Incredible looking model.
Yeah. They do such a good job.
Yeah. Could easily work in 40K as
Sure.
as a Shield Captain. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. Necromunda releases the Escher weapons set 1, 2, and 3.
And I think that you're starting to see Forge World kind of coming into its own as the specialist.
Oh yeah,
side
they've definitely
of the
taken on the
building.
specialist
And
games
so,
mantle.
but I'm saying when you're starting to see some like regular releases for stuff coming from them in this arena, they've done some cool Blood Bowl extra stuff, and they've done the Necromunda extra stuff, and so I'm glad to see them kind of hitting a stride with that.
Yeah, I think, and I think we talked about this before. I think they're doing all that, but unfortunately, from my perspective, it's at the loss of things like Imperial Armor books
Right.
and that kind of thing, which I really enjoyed
Right.
that Forge World would put out.
Right.
But for all I know, the market is better for this stuff. Like they're probably killing it more here than they are in a Forge World Imperial Armor.
Yeah, I
book.
mean, because some of the things like
Where do you put your efforts, right?
Right. But like the model, I think it was the month before with the dude with his dog, and that was the hired guns one.
Yeah.
Right. He has a cyber dog,
Yep.
and there's a squat mercenary and stuff like that.
Yeah, and there's
that they did.
Beastman.
Right. I think those are the types of things that people who don't play the game are going to buy. Right.
Maybe.
People who are just modelers or use them for other systems.
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of things a lot of people buy. Those kind of one-off things, I think.
But see, the Imperial Armor books would always support like model ranges of releases that
Sure.
they would do, and I think that I'm interested to see how how Forge World is going to release rules for new models they develop. Because first and foremost, they were a modeling arm of this company. I mean, initially
the
it was
boutique
created by
arm.
a bunch of treadheads, and and clearly they've changed their focus.
Right, but
a
they
bit.
were the boutique section that did the
now they're the
special
specialist games
Right.
and boutique section.
Right.
Let me be clear. I mean, like that's not a criticism of it. It's more of a I'm sad that they've not done the things I want to see, but they're doing other things I want to see too.
Well,
So
when Jason was
I just
here,
want it all.
When Jason was here, y'all were talking about it pretty much in depth. I
Were
thought
we?
it was a good, I thought it was a good discussion on this.
I might have been a little
A little bit.
might have drunk.
Those
a
who know,
little
you know.
bit. Okay. Right. So okay. But you do start seeing Necromunda weapons packs so that you can switch these guys out for different weapons loadouts, which is great, without buying a whole nother
set.
or even introducing new weapons. Okay, so that's just the first 3 months of the year. Pretty solid 3 months.
And then we become April Fools.
And then it goes nuts. So, okay. April rolls around. The Games Workshop Studio releases Forgebane, which was available for pre-order in March, but released
They released
here.
in April, yeah.
Necrons versus Admech. You get a unique Cryptek. You get the Knight Armiger Warglaves.
Armiger
in there.
Warglaves, man. Those
Which people
things
went nuts
blew
for.
up. Yep.
Yeah. And
Even to this day, people are grabbing those things.
yeah, for sure. I mean, but they were, I think they were limited in their weapons loadout here, right?
Right.
Much like when you get a dreadnought, a plastic dreadnought in a
Right. In Black Reach or whatever.
right, or whatever it was. It's just that weapon loadout. But even Justin's painting up Warglaves right now, right? So clearly a great unit that people take advantage of. Nice set, honestly.
Yeah.
A great set. Drukhari Codex releases.
Yes.
So Dark Eldar finally get their day in the sun.
Yes.
so to speak. With their data cards. And now this Codex.
Y'all did that Show of Force thing and
Oh, man.
blew up my bank account.
This codex is good, though. I think
Yes.
universally, everybody who's playing 40K right now looks at the Dark Eldar Codex and says, this is a great codex.
It's well done.
It has, it has every unit, for the most part, has a function in that codex and can be used.
And if not that, then at least every Force Org slot has really good choices in it.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like you're not. Yes, you could take all witch cult or whatever, but you can also take,
heavy Cabalite,
you
could do a bunch of
the pain engines and
homunculus
stuff, right? I mean, there's a lot of variety, and I think that's what people want to see from a codex is a lot of
different ways to run the
a
army.
lot of different ways to run an army, and for it to feel thematically like it is
viable, right?
Yeah. So that I think that's a huge win.
Yeah.
For Games Workshop at this point. Also, White Dwarf, I have to say, releases Chaos Cult Gangs for Necromunda, which is awesome because I have tons of Chaos Cultists.
A lot of people do because of the starter sets.
I'd be totally happy to play some Chaos Cultists in Necromunda. But yeah,
right? How many people bought multiples of that starter set? Then a lot of people have those. Cultists.
I have sprues of those guys sitting
Yeah.
there, and I still have 100 of them painted. But I think the interesting thing here is you're seeing White Dwarf has evolved too, and this is a big deal. I think White Dwarf was releasing this year things like a game inside of White Dwarf that you would play. On the back of the thing had that fantasy game that you could play with cards and stuff.
Right.
You get things such as this where you're getting rules for Chaos Gangs in Necromunda. This month, in fact, they've released some Crimson Fist stuff. In it. We know for a fact there's the Kroot Warrior stuff for Kill Team coming out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of arguments both ways on these things. My personal take on it is I like that they do this a lot. For me, because of the way we have digital availability, I would love to see them even sell that as a separate PDF, maybe 3 months down the road after the magazine comes out or something like that. It's kind of like the Warmager Warglaves.
Armiger Warglaves.
Those. The little bots, right? So you knew when they came out in that box set, well, eventually we're going to get a kit for these.
Right.
But you got to wait. It doesn't happen for a while.
Right.
Do the same thing with this. If you're going to release some cool rules for Crimson Fist or whatever in White Dwarf, have it be in White Dwarf. That's great. And then a couple months down the line, let me buy it for a couple of dollars, $3 as a PDF.
Yeah. I think that's a completely reasonable response. Or this is the other thing I would say, do an annual.
Yeah.
That includes rules for everything, or include it into the chapter approved for the next year.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that seems like a good home for it. Maybe chapter approved gets thicker.
Right.
It costs a little bit more, but you get like a lot more in it.
Right. You get the bonus stuff from White Dwarf.
Or a like comics, you would do an annual.
Yep.
Like maybe they just do an annual and
that's what chapter approved used to be. It used to be the combined stuff from White Dwarf.
That's true. That's very true. I mean, that would be a really good and easy publication for them to make because they're just taking this stuff and how it lays out already. You write a couple forward articles.
Yep.
And you piece it together and you release another. That's probably a great way because not only that, like going into chapter approved might not be the right location for it. Well,
but White Dwarf annual. I mean, again, like you say, in the comic book world, I used to buy my Spider-Man annuals, right? And so it makes sense. You get your White Dwarf annuals, and I'm speaking from the perspective of somebody.
Dragon Magazine used to do the same thing, by the way.
Right? Yeah, a lot of magazines.
Like Dragon Magazine would do it, and they would release like, here's all the NPC classes we released over the year.
Right.
Yeah, those were fantastic.
Yeah, and you see those actually sell a lot.
Oh yeah,
those issues sell a lot.
Oh, an issue of White Dwarf that was nothing but the rules they released over the course of the year would sell like crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
People would probably get angry because there weren't enough of them. They didn't get one. I guarantee.
But you could buy it electronically.
There you go.
Right now, you can buy the White Dwarf electronically, and so maybe that's the answer: is that you could always go back and buy that issue electronically, so you could always have access to those rules. So I guess I've just talked myself into the answer there. But as somebody who used to have to carry 2 issues of White Dwarf to play my Sisters of Battle, because the Codex
Blood Angels players, remember?
Right? Yeah. Blood Angels. And so if you were back then, you couldn't get them digitally.
Right.
So unless you pirated it online.
Yeah.
Right. So if you wanted to play that army,
you better have those copies.
Better have those 2 copies.
Yeah.
And so, I guess now that I've said it out loud, it makes sense because you can buy any of these digitally.
Yeah.
So if I want to have those rules for the cultists, I can just buy that issue electronically. I don't have to wait for it
to
come
PDF.
out. Right.
Yeah. That's true. I would like it.
I take it back.
The annual would be a cool thing, though.
Yeah, it would be neat.
And I think because
one-stop shopping.
While I love that they include these rules in White Dwarf, it doesn't cause a problem so much for us here.
Right.
But if you go to a tournament, what is and is not accepted, is easier for them just to say, you know what, stuff in White Dwarf we don't accept.
Right.
Because the rules are just gonna be scattered everywhere. But if they were to say, here's our 2018 annual
Right.
White Dwarf Crunchy Edition.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Supplement for match play.
That would be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And not only would you get the and again, I'm wish listing here, but not only would you get the 40k stuff, you get the Age of Sigmar stuff and the Necromunda,
Lord of the Rings,
and, all of it,
right,
in one location.
Right.
And here you go. That would be amazing.
Yep.
Okay. Enough of that. Where were we again? We were in April. Drukhari Codex came out. White Dwarf releases. Right. Black Library. Imperator. Wrath of the Omnissiah by Gav Thorpe.
Right.
Legacy of Dorn by Mike Lee.
Yep.
I hadn't seen anything by Mike Lee in a long time. He used to be big in the comic book stuff, the Warhammer comic book stuff.
I just finished a book by him today.
Did you? And he would do a lot of stuff with Dan Abnett, I think, when they were doing the comics.
Oh, okay.
So
I just finished Trader's Gorge.
Okay. So maybe I just missed it.
Well, I think Trader's Gorge is an older...
Isn't that one of the...
That's a Crimson Fist fighting against the orcs on Rindsworld.
Okay.
It's after Rindsworld.
Okay.
And then Ferrus Manus, Gorgon of Medusa comes out in paperback that
Right.
month. We had talked about it earlier. That's when it came out in hardback. This is the month it came out in paperback.
Okay. I may have just duplicated that in our list. Forge World releases Constantine Veldor.
Yep.
Captain General of the Legion.
I just looked at him
Custodes.
in my stuff as I was sorting it.
That dude is so awesome looking too.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you,
He could kill you with a look.
I love the vehicles. I love the models. Like I said, they grew on me. Like it took, but much like a Land Raider. The first time I saw a Land Raider, I'm like, oh, I don't know about that.
Well, if you want to buy a Forge World Custodes army, let's talk offline.
I do not want to buy a Forge World Custodes army.
I got all those vehicles.
Thank you, but no.
I got Valdor.
You're not going to do any of that stuff?
Nope.
Oh my God. All right. I don't want to do a Custodes army. Okay. I had to think about
I'll give you a good deal.
Great. Okay, so the
No shipping.
trade you an unbuilt Night Lords army for 30K.
No.
The Aurochs Armored Transport comes out.
Yep.
Meh. I'm not a huge fan.
Okay.
It's okay. What are your thoughts? No?
Yeah. It's okay.
I think it's yeah, okay. This is the kind of thing that, like this vehicle, this is the kind of thing I would have expected from old Forge World.
Yeah. The old Treadhead guys.
Well, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And the Termite Assault Drill.
So this is kind of cool. It's a throwback.
Yes, it certainly
it's a big
is.
callback to the old days. And so I thought it was kind of cool for that reason.
I think there used to be a what was that other company that made resin models? Armorcast.
Yeah.
I think there was an Armorcast one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It to me it felt very nostalgic, which I thought was cool. I mean, it's for an army I don't play, so it's fine. But I really like the fact that they did this kind of nostalgic callback.
Yeah.
Kind of like they did with some of these other models they've released and kind of kept some of the original poses.
Yeah.
Kind of call back to some of the poses.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before. Like, I don't know if you notice the Kill Team art, the main Kill Team art for the box is a redo of the Kill Team from the previous edition. The guys are just slightly repositioned differently, and they're Reavers now, and before they were just regular Space Marines.
I didn't realize that. May rolls around. The studio releases. Guess what? 2 more codexes.
Yeah.
Adeptus Astartes Death Watch, along with the cards and dice, and Codex Harlequins, along with the cards and unreadable dice.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
Those dice are bad. Dude.
I don't know if anybody's been listening, but we keep mentioning Xenos codexes. Do you remember everybody was crying about they hate Xenos? They're not
there
doing
was an
anything for
Imperial
Xenos.
Codex right there.
There was
Xenos
a bunch of
Codex
Xenos.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to discount what people are saying, but yeah, they tend to focus on the fact, everything's Imperial. But when you look at it, a lot of the armies are Imperial related.
Right. But January was Chaos Demons. February was Thousand Suns. March was Necrons and Coda. And
I think they would argue Chaos is not Xenos. is what they would say.
April is Drukhari.
Yep.
May is Harlequin.
It's a heavy Xenos year.
Yeah.
It has to be because they're closing out
right. They're
everything.
doing them all.
Okay. So Harlequin's Codex, I'll be honest. This almost got me to do a Harlequin's army. I think the Codex is really cool.
Yeah.
I think the models are really cool. I think painting those,
You'd kill yourself.
Oh, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I'd rather paint the Thousand Suns than paint the Harlequins at this point. Now, Anthony Dave Paints just painted Anthony's kill team of Harlequins. Did you see them?
Yeah.
They look really good.
They look really good.
And he didn't go through and do a bunch of diamonds on them, which, oh my God, I can't imagine. But I guess Anthony's commissioning an actual Harlequins army through Dave now.
Oh, is that right?
And Dave was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And Anthony's like, well, tell me what it would cost. And Dave gave him a price. And he's like, okay. And so Dave's like, okay, I'll do it.
Wow.
So,
but from what I understand from folks, painting the diamonds isn't really is if you can just paint some straight lines.
Yeah, I don't
in
think
two
it's
different
actually
directions.
that hard.
It's not actually that hard.
But it is time consuming.
I think that doing the diamond pattern would be, to me, less scary than trying to do a checkerboard. Because the checkerboard has to be actual exact 90-degree angles.
Yes, yeah. If it's not, it starts looking weird.
Right.
It starts looking
and
like
the diamonds. If the diamonds aren't exactly right,
well, also they're not really on flat surfaces typically, so you can kind of get away with it. The Alderi Webway gate comes out too.
Yeah, kind of cool.
I didn't pick this up. I'm just realizing as I went through this.
Yeah, I'm glad they did that.
I would like to see more Xenos terrain. That's the one thing I really want to see. Like, I would love to see.
Although this is not just terrain; it has a function.
It has
in the
a
codex.
function. Well, yeah, but a lot of the terrain also has a function.
And this is one of the things that we're going to talk about in another arena. But you're starting to see, at least on the Age of Sigmar side, every new book release, that army has like a centerpiece terrain item.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, give me an example.
It's been happening. Well, the Beastmen have a statue.
On
the Age of Sigmar side.
This is on the Age of Sigmar side.
The Beastmen have a statue that affects their army. The Gits are coming out with this moon statue that affects their army.
That's true.
Just about every army. The
Tree Bros.
The Tree
use the forest
piece.
And
the Deepkin have the Gloom ship.
Yes,
I mean,
this is true. That is an interesting.
They really do, and it's interesting because they also, I don't know. You saw this also with some of the armies in War Machine.
Oh, really?
Where they had, and Hordes, where they had things that look like terrain pieces that actually have a positive effect and work with the army. And in 40k, they did it a little bit.
Yeah.
With, like, if you remember the Space Marine statue.
Yeah.
You got a bonus if you were close to the statue.
It still has effects in the rules.
Right?
Yeah.
And the wrecked rhino piece and those kinds of things. So, they kind of dabble with it a little bit. And we saw it with the Astra Militarum with the fence line. What do they call it?
Oh, I can't remember the name of the little shield wall thing.
The shield wall, yeah.
That's not what it's called.
I know. But
Aegis defense line.
The Aegis defense line, right? So everybody was using that thing.
Yeah.
Right? But that was part of the Astra Militarum back in the old days Imperial Guard Codex.
Right.
Right? And so I think it's cool if they could start building that in as kind of having some type of centerpiece.
There's no doubt
terrain.
They look at a game like War Machine, which is kind of fallen off the map around here. But they look at a game like that and they say, well, what did they do that we like?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's right? And let's introduce something similar.
Yeah. But they're doing it a lot on the Age of Sigmar side. I hope that we start seeing it more on the 40k side. That's just me. And I like the Webway gate. The one thing I would have preferred to have with the Webway gate is a base for it that keeps it at a set distance apart.
I imagine it probably gets knocked over quite.
And I think a lot of people actually create their own base for it.
Yeah.
But that would have been one thing I would like to see differently. But I like the fact they came out with it.
Okay. Black Library releases. Horus Heresy Wolfsbane by Guy Haley.
Good book.
Yeah.
Justin Hill and I were just chatting about this on Facebook this week.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I really like it.
He said he just read it and he thought it was one of the best Horus Heresy books he'd read in a while.
Yeah.
I agree.
And one of the reasons that it's so good.
I would actually argue it's one of Guy Haley's best books.
Oh, nice.
Baneblade is still up there for me with him, but this book is really good.
So one of the things that we were discussing that makes this stand out is the Heresy overall has a story that we all kind of know how it's going to end.
Right.
We kind of know where it's going.
We know the end result. We don't know exactly how it's going to get there.
Right.
Which is great because I want to see exactly.
But there's things like, I mean, if you look at the lore back, you know that there's a Primarch that gets his head cut off by another Primarch.
Right.
I mean, you know these things before the books are written.
Right.
Right. You know that Prospero gets destroyed by the Space Wolves. That's been in the lore for a long time, and so there's hints about the conflict between Horus and Russ.
Yeah.
In other lore.
Yeah.
And so you kind of know that collision course is coming. But what's really cool about this book, there's also other little subtexts that are running through it. One of the really interesting ones, and the one that I really liked the most was Belisarius Call.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Before
in
he
this book.
becomes what you see in Dark
before
Imperium.
he becomes kind of this. He's
the
even
origins.
resistant
Yes.
to
It's the
transplants and that kind
Right.
of thing. Like
So
he's
it's
kind of like, oh, look at what this person has done to themselves. I don't want to go that far.
Right. And so it's the origins basically of Belisarius Call as this innovator, which is actually almost heresy within the Mechanicum. So I thought that whole little subplot through the book really made the whole book more engaging. And I actually was getting to the point where I was like, oh, I hope this chapter has Call. Oh, I hope this
It's
chapter has
interesting
Call.
that after like he was introduced in the end of 7th edition. Mm-hmm. This is the first time we ever heard of this guy. Like they just made him up at that point.
Right.
And it's interesting to me, like he has really clicked with people. Like people really like him as a character.
Well,
and
it didn't hurt that he was a beast on the table.
of course not. Of course. It's interesting. He's kind of like showing up everywhere, like Vulcan used to in 5th edition. But it is interesting to see an introduction of a new character into it. And hey, Justin's here now.
Justin just walked in the middle of May.
Hello, everybody.
We were just talking about Belisarius Call.
Oh, perfect.
So yeah, and then Voice of Mars by David Geimer, and the Salamanders Omnibus, which is just a collection of the Salamanders books by Nick Kime.
Right.
And then Forge World releases Gang War 3.
Right.
And the Van Sar Gang, which is pre-ordered in April but released in May.
Yeah, and I thought that gang was pretty cool.
But not for you.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, not quite.
It's not our bites.
Right.
The Van Sar? You don't like those?
I did.
So
I did like that.
yeah, you missed out earlier. He hasn't had one that's really connected with him. He'd like the Arbites to be a.
Well, of course, that
The
would be
Arbites,
that would be the natural fit for a Don.
Do we
okay.
need to adjust his microphone?
No, I think he's good.
Oh, awesome.
I hope he is.
Perfect.
He is.
You are practically perfect in every way.
Except for being on time. But
That's
life
okay.
At least
happens.
you're not covered
Work
in
takes
mud.
precedence. Welcome. We're glad you're here. We're kind of wrapping up the first part of our year in review. We're hitting June right now, so
Yep.
we're only halfway through the year. And we've gone through something like 6 or 8 codexes.
Yeah, something like that.
And
7 or 8.
GW Prime releases the Dominus Knight, which
Yes.
is the bigger knight
Right.
that has come out. The Armiger Helverins and Armiger Warglaves, which are separate
Right,
from the
which have-
Forgebane box
Have
finally.
more loadouts
Yep.
that Justin is painting right now.
the mini nights.
That's right. The Imperial Knights Renegade box set comes out, which has
Yes.
2 knights in it. It's a good deal. I bought one of the box sets and
So
ended
did
up
I.
selling one of the knights.
Yeah.
And the other one I have sitting up here on top.
I may
of
actually end up selling that box set.
Oh, man.
Oh, did I? No, I think I sold off one of the knights.
I sold off one of the knights.
I think Greg bought one of my knights.
I think
yeah.
I sold one to Aaron. And then what else? Where was
The
I?
Knight Valiant.
The Knight Valiant, which is sorry, that's the huge knight.
Now, is the Knight Valiant, is that the one with the missile pod on the top?
I think it is.
Yeah.
And then the Imperial Knights Codex comes out. So all these
Yes.
come out with the
Right,
Imperial
with the
Knights
Codex,
Of course, data cards and dice.
right.
Yeah, so a pretty interesting set there.
Well, I think it's kind of cool that one of the complaints about Knights was they were so monotone. They were so single note. Mm-hmm. And so when this book releases and they come out with many more variants and you got the little mini Knights, you actually have, and if you run them with the Skitarii and stuff, now you have an army that actually looks like an army. It's not
has a little variety to it.
It's not a little single note.
Yeah.
Let me bring my big beast to bash your face in.
It also allowed you to kind of do a super heavy detachment that
Right.
wasn't like an extreme commitment of points.
Right.
You know, you could take a big knight and then
Yeah.
Take small
2 little
knights.
mini knights.
I do still feel like it's a wee bit on the strong side.
Okay.
And I mean, oh man, the stomps that they
but
get.
they do
and all this
have
stuff,
they
it's-
do have
You have to prepare
downsides,
for it.
right?
Sure. Yeah. Look, I'm not going to say they don't have downsides, but they do. But this is a tough army to
Yeah.
play against. I think you have to be prepared to play against it, and you
Yeah,
have.
either way, right? Like in a friendly game, you should let your opponent know, hey, I'm bringing knights. So
Although
he's
I will
ready
say,
for it.
I don't know. In the world where anything can hurt anything,
It's not as bad
it's not
as it
as
was.
bad, but
Right.
but it's still a lot of wounds
And
you got to put on these.
if you look
things.
at the objective secured thing, it's number of models.
This is true.
So
That is true. Of course, he just stomps on all your little guys
Yeah,
that are
yeah,
around
yeah,
the
yeah.
objective and finishes them off. But yeah, so anyway, now here's the other thing that happens in the month of June, and while this is treading into your guys' territory on Lords and Heroes,
It's important to mention it, I think.
second edition for Age of Sigmar comes out.
Big deal.
It was a huge deal.
And Soul Wars, the box set, comes
Yeah.
out in support of that with the Night Haunt guys,
Yeah. And
which are beautiful.
And one of the reasons I think this is important in a 40K podcast to talk about is that, and we've said this many, many times, 40K ends up borrowing things from that are almost kind of like play tested in Age of Sigmar.
Yep.
And 8th edition 40K, which has been out now for almost a year, it pulled a lot from Age of Sigmar.
Sure.
And even talked about it. It's Sigmarizing 40K,
Right.
right? And
Which people dreaded, by the
right.
way, and which I was totally fine with because
And-
we were playing Age of Sigmar at that point. At this into 7th, we
Yep.
were like,
Right.
let's just play some Sigmar.
Yep.
And so what I really like about this is that they roll out 2.0 as people are really deep into 8th ed and people are going, oh, I kind of know this system.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to try this game. When we did our escalation
That's a really good point.
When we did our escalation for Age of Sigmar, we got so many 40K players who were really interested and wanted to come in and try it out.
So here's the other thing I think that drew people to it is the art design in the second edition is fantastic.
Yeah. And they did those great preview videos. It was to me,
Is a good launch.
they did a really good job of launching that set, that edition, and the way that they used their social media and their multimedia platforms. I thought they were really hitting their stride on that area.
And it addressed, I think, some things that needed to be addressed in Sigmar, and it made them make a little more sense. And
And I like that it was more of like a refinement. It wasn't like
Exactly.
let's just scrap this whole thing and start over, make you learn a bunch of new rules. I mean, it was very easy to transition into.
no,
Yeah,
and the
and-
interesting thing about that, if you think about, like, Age of Sigmar went 2 years, 3 years,
I want to say 3 years.
maybe 3 years
Yeah.
before second edition came out.
Yeah.
How long's 8th edition 40K been out?
Year and a half.
Yeah. We're coming up on 2 years.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
Well, and I think that it'll be interesting to see.
But I think it'll just be like you just said. That was what made me think about it.
Yeah,
just more of
the
a
next
refinement.
time
yeah.
it's going to be a refinement.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that what I hope they do is that they pull elements that they've learned from 2.0 Age of Sigmar
Sure.
and from Kill Team.
Yeah.
I would like to see them pull some stuff that they've learned from Kill Team into
Terrain
40K.
in particular.
I mean, at the end of the day,
Well, terrain and I really love the way they do the shooting phase, where you can not move and be set.
Yeah, I wonder if that scales up.
I mean, I don't know if it scales up or not, but I love it.
Yeah, I do
love
too.
I love the fact that it really causes you to think about, ooh, do I really want to move
Super
those guys?
tactical.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, we've always seen the cross contamination of
Yes.
the systems
Yeah.
with each other. So it's all at the end of the day, it's all one company. And if something works in one system and it can go to the next without
Why not?
feeling
Yeah.
samey,
Right.
And
But
it doesn't.
It doesn't, right.
It really, really doesn't. I mean, the games feel significantly different to me.
I
but
agree.
similar enough that you go, oh, yeah, I get it. Like, this is much like this.
Yeah.
But they definitely
like
feel
I
different.
don't think we'll ever see a double turn mechanism in 40K.
Oh, God,
No.
You know,
No,
I think
no, no.
I think
I'm
people would
still not a
storm,
fan of that.
Storm
in
the
Age of
gates.
Sigmar. Yeah.
Well, I think you make a good point, and I think the code switching sometimes can be an interesting feature. And it would be great if a show actually talked about code switching. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so enough about that. Black Library comes out with Horus Heresy, Born of Flame by
Yep.
Nick Crime, and War of
I like that
Secrets by
book.
Phil Kelly. I haven't read War of Secrets.
No, I'm talking about Born of Flame.
Oh, did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Okay. Forge World releases Alfarius. We just talked about
We talked
this.
about him.
I think
He's one of the best
we talked about
ones.
this earlier. I think he's the best. I think he's the
Yeah.
best mini. I love his pose. I love the armor on him. Everything about this miniature I like.
He's really well done.
I mean,
Super
And when
done.
well painted, and they painted him well for the preview, I feel like he looks good.
I do like seeing Primarchs in ultra dynamic poses.
Yeah. Like Gilliman doesn't probably appeal to you.
No.
He's too static.
Yeah.
like as a
which-
competition piece or something.
But that's
where-
like his. I think it's representative of
It absolutely
him,
is.
right?
It
But I
absolutely
agree
is.
with you. I like seeing the action. I like Ferrus Manus
Yes,
swinging
Ferrus
the
Manus.
hammer, right?
Yeah.
He looks
Yep.
amazing.
He's one of my favorite ones because of that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Salamander's
Or
vehicle
Fulgrim.
vehicle doors come out.
dancing.
Salamander's vehicle
Pirouetting.
doors come out, and the Alpha Legion
Linaran Terminators.
Linaran Terminator Squad, which is really, really cool looking.
Yeah, and finally. They were in that black book forever.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, after I
Too
modded
busy making Necromunda.
after I modded all my other Terminators in 30K, and now they finally come out with it.
2 years it'll be Battlefleet Gothic.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Same thing happened to me with the Headhunters, the Alpha Legion Headhunters in 30K. They didn't have a kit for it, so I was building my own stuff, and then after I finally finished it and actually painted it and based it, they released it.
Yeah.
It's the way it goes.
Yeah, that's why I stopped building and painting stuff.
All right, so we're halfway through the year. It's time to take
enough.
a break. Justin will be with us for the rest of the year.
That's right.
For the rest,
But before we do that, we're going to go back and record some hobby progress.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Big Nasty B from Life After the Cover Safe, and I'm at a mall talking to strangers about Table War. Table War develops some of the most innovative products for the miniature wargaming and hobby industry.
And I develop pictures.
That's great. They develop things like the Fat Mat.
Who's Matt, and why is he so fat?
Well, first off, Mat is not a person. The Fat Mat is a tabletop gaming surface, and with over 40 different designs, Table War's Fat Mat has become a community standard.
I got a Surface Pro. It's like 10 inches. By the way, I meet my friend Simbun. Do you know what that is?
No, but I do want to tell you about the Table War Tower case line.
Oh man, towers are so huge.
Well, it's not that kind of tower. It's the original modular, all-in-one display storage and transport system for all your tabletop miniatures.
Wow, you're really smart. What's your relationship status?
Well, it's complicated, but you know what isn't complicated?
Chili dogs.
This is true, but also the Macromat.
Oh geez, not that guy again.
The Macromat is a one-of-a-kind, innovative photography backdrop, perfect for collectibles, hobby miniatures, and small works of art. Its durability, portability, and functionality in one inexpensive product.
I wasn't paying attention to what you just said, but do you validate parking?
No, I do not. But if you want more information, head over to tablewar.com and check them out.
All right, and we're back, and we are continuing our coverage. Now fully deployed.
Yeah. The troops are
We
all
pulled in the
here.
reserves. Let's go to July.
Yep.
Because Games Workshop has a really cool thing come out this
Yeah, they
An
do.
year.
ingenious thing.
You were talking about this during Hobby Progress.
right.
You got your first game in of
I got my first game, Kill Team. It only took a few months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
much peer pressure, but I finally did. And what a great, simple,
great little system.
kind of cinematic, almost kind of feels like you're playing a video game type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
40K
really
game.
did a nice job with it.
Terrain becomes so important in that game.
Big
and
time.
just cover and
Yep.
yeah.
And what do you know? They included a lot of terrain with these releases.
Yeah. So the Kill Team core manual and box set comes out, sells like crazy.
Great set.
Yeah, absolutely worth the purchase price. Kill Team new Ruin terrain sets come out, the new Sector Imperialis sets,
Right.
which are a redo of the old Sector Imperialis.
Right. The floors, the upper floors are better.
Yeah, everything everything's a little more interesting.
Yeah.
and
Not so many skulls either, which I kind of appreciate.
Yes, but very gothic.
Very gothic.
Yep.
It has to be. Of course.
Of course. And interesting that all of this works in various components, so you can assemble it in different ways, but it also works with like the piping and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Everything is designed to work together now,
Yes,
which is really
cool. Yep.
Along with those, they start releasing Kill Team sets for specific forces. So you
Right.
get Kill Team, the Fangs of Ulfric, which is the Space Wolves.
But it has some generic Space Marine data cards in there.
Okay. You also get Kill Team Grog Skull's Boys, which are the Orcs.
Yep.
And also you get specific
cards
cards
for that.
in
Yep.
there for that group.
Ingenious marketing.
And
Yeah.
they released the Kill Team Killzone Sector Mechanicus, which is the old Shadow Wars terrain, and it's on a cardboard playmat, which is the Kill Team size.
Yeah, and the Kill Team mat is 22 by 30 is the size.
It's like it's a weird dimension.
funky number.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the 22 by 30 is the size of the mats, and it's a really cool kind of. It forces you to kind of get to grips with each other pretty quickly, which I like.
Yep.
I like that Table War has 4 mats specifically for that.
Well, I was going to say they released 4 double-sided mats, so you actually have 8 variations.
And what I like about it is you can actually 2 of the mats will fit in one of the
carrying containers,
which is really nice.
Yeah.
I use the hell out of them for our campaign.
Yeah, those mats are amazing to play on.
The other thing that actually works pretty well is if you have some 1x1 square tiles like the old Secret Weapon miniatures
tiles, yeah.
or anything like that. If you do it a 2x3,
Yep.
it works just fine.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
it
just
looks
having
great.
an inch here or there is not going
Yeah.
to make or break
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really not. But
What a good system,
It
though.
is nice. Those rollout maps.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm going to
really
definitely.
handy. So
Yeah.
Black Library releases Mephiston Revenant Crusade by Darius Hicks. Fairly new author to
Yeah, and that one totally went by the boards for me. I don't even remember hearing about that book.
Jagatai Khan, Warhawk of Chagoris by Chris Raitt. Let me tell you, if you haven't read Chris Rait's White Scars
stuff.
series for Horus Heresy, I'm not even a White Scars fan, and that is a frigging phenomenal book. And it was originally released like kind of a chapter at a time.
Right.
But you can just buy the whole thing now. It is fantastic.
Cool.
Wow. And somebody who rides a white motorcycle, I need to do that.
Yeah, you're kind of set. And then the Harusian Wars Incarnation by our buddy John French.
Yeah.
Fantastic
I
book.
enjoyed that.
Fantastic book. I think we even did a Forbidden Lore on
I think you did.
Might want to check that out. Forge World doesn't release anything. Huh. I wonder why.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Hold on to your horses.
We'll see in August. But also, we just talked about Table War.
Yeah.
Third party does release these Kill Team mats, which
Right.
are just fantastic for the game.
Yeah, I need to buy those for sure.
Super worth it.
Yep, at least 3 of them.
Well,
is really
unfortunately,
6.
you missed out on the cool
Yeah,
deal
the
they
deal,
had
yeah.
because at the time it was a great deal. So August rolls around and the Games Workshop studio releases more Kill Team stuff. What?
Yeah.
This is going to be a fully supported system that they are continuing to support. Where we
Yep.
saw Shadow Wars drop and kind of die off pretty quickly, Kill Team is something they are investing heavily in and marketing heavily. And
I appreciate it
supporting.
so
It's
much.
such a better system than Shadow
It
Wars.
really
Yeah.
is.
I mean, just from like a new hobbyist standpoint, that somebody could walk in and buy a box of Plague Marines or
Yeah.
a box of Scions or whatever, and have
Yep.
a whole army and ready.
Yep.
Super low commitment.
One of the
Love
things
it.
I really liked about it when they came out with the set, when they came out with the system, they sent retailers stickers so that you
Yes.
could go through and
Yeah.
whatever units were in
Right.
the Kill Team book, you could put those stickers on those boxes.
Made it super easy.
Made
That's
it super easy
smart.
for new. Yes, super smart.
We talked about before. Like, I wish they would release a sticker sheet that you could just put stickers in your codex over
Yeah.
over points changes and this
Yeah.
kind of thing. That would be amazing.
Be too easy.
Yeah.
Way too easy.
Anyway, okay. So they drop Kill Team Drop Force Imperator.
Yeah. Tempestus Scion.
Tempestus Scions.
Yep.
But you also get crates and shipping containers in this.
Yep.
Now, the interesting thing about this is each of them come with like a little bit of terrain
Yeah.
and special cards for
And
them.
then
Right.
rules for the terrain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the drawback here is like you're in each of these, like I don't feel like any of them are like a really great like Kill Team setup. It's almost like a get started Kill
Yeah.
Team setup.
Yeah, it is.
Right. You're gonna want more than this, but it is a good like kickoff and you get a little bit of terrain, which is kind of
And the
Didn't
nice
the
thing-
orc one
and you
have
get-
like the orc one? You could like get in the tractor and ride
Yes.
it or drive
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah.
That is
It's so cool. And
Sweet.
the nice thing about it is it's cool, fun rules like that, but they're not
mandatory.
game, and they're not
Or-
game changing.
Right.
Right. They're not. They don't break the
Just
game.
a fun little flavor.
Yes.
You could
Yeah.
add and
Yeah.
do it or don't.
So Tooth and Claw, the box set comes out, which contains, and this is the Space Wolves versus the Gene Stealer cult.
Yes.
And it comes with a special Primaris battle leader for the Space Wolves. Freaking awesome.
Yeah.
He's awesome. I like Space Wolves. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna say. I'm telling you, man. Kill
Is
Team.
that-
I should just do Kill
So that's
Team.
it. You're saying
Space
that's a specialized Primaris lieutenant?
Wolves. He's a battle leader.
He's a battle leader. He's a captain.
Look.
Moving on.
Let's not split fur hairs.
Let's not split hairs. Yes. Codex Space Wolves.
Codex Space Wolves.
Speaking
drops.
of Space Wolves.
Yeah. So the cards, the dice, etc. Primaris upgrade sprues for
That's
Space
really
Wolves
cool.
come out.
Yep.
Space Wolf transfers come out. This is the Codex Space Wolves is really cool.
I want to see more of those little conversion kits.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
people always rant and rave about that original Space Marine captain that was like, like 3 sprues of just
You
random.
get a ton of extra pieces.
yeah, like give us more of that.
Yeah, I'd
Well,
like
they
to
did
see
it for
more.
they did it for Blood Angels and they did it for Space Wolves.
Yep.
And
They
they
did
did it for Dark
do it for
Angels.
Space Wolves. You
Yep.
get a lot of extra bits in the Space Wolves kit.
Yep.
But like, how about we get that for like our Eldari and our all
I'd
the
like to
different
see
races?
it for IG. I'd like to
I would love to see it for
be able to
IG.
do different IG packs.
Yep.
Like if they redo, okay, so that Cadian kit's getting a little old now,
Yeah.
right?
Come out a kit with has different heads and things
Just
that you can
different
make.
heads.
If they did a Imperial Guard kit, and then it just looked like the generic Cadian, right? And then they would sell you
more like Mordian heads.
and then they
or-
sell you plastic. Yeah, it could, but it'd probably be like the top. Like you know how Forge World does like
The
the
torsos and
torso,
heads. Yep.
Yeah.
just to make it a little different. Like Talarn
See, I'd be
Desert
happy-
Raiders.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
with just like the heads too alone, because like
I don't know
they're
the
doing
economics
it for
around that, or if it's
they're doing it for Necromunda right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have all the different, and I'm looking at those.
But that stuff comes in resin.
damn.
Yeah.
But that's Forge World. That's how they do it.
Because one thing, like people love to customize their miniatures. You
Yep.
know, even if like whatever army you play, if they released a set of 20 heads alone,
Yeah.
you would buy that. It would be printing money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, we'll see.
And I like the fact that with the Space Wolves release, they kind of primed the pump by having the Kill Team Space Marine box the month before,
Which kind of
be
helps
a
launch
Space Wolf
launch into a Space
box.
Wolf.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. It was
telling
well
you.
done.
I've
You need to
gotta-
paint a kill team of wolves, dude.
I'm telling you, right? Like I gotta
Yeah, you
tell
should.
you, there have been times I've been seeing people sell the Space Wolves half of that thing, and I'm like,
I have it.
of course you do. Do you really?
I do. Let's talk.
Payne's,
right, let's
Payne's
talk.
gray. Payne's gray.
Right?
Pain-
Gray with Payne's gray.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk, Adon. Okay. Damn it, this show's costing me more money.
It always does.
unlock my resolution.
I didn't
like
find anything for Black Library releasing.
I didn't either,
This month.
it. But Forge World.
Forge World goes ballistic.
Whoa.
So they didn't release anything in January. They didn't release anything in July. But boy, in August, they released Necromunda Gang War 4,
Yep.
Necromunda Caudor Gang and
models are
cards,
so good.
Yep.
the
Coders are
Orlok weapon set 1 and 2, and the long-awaited Adeptus
Adeptus
Titanicus.
Titanicus.
because that wasn't enough in the Necromunda phase. They had to
So
jump into
Adeptus Titanicus, the Grandmaster Edition comes out, the
Yep.
Warlord Battle Titan, the Imperial Knights, the Rules set, the Civitas Imperialis Sector, the Civitas Imperialis, which is the smaller version of that.
Right.
The weapon cards packs, the command terminals for all that stuff.
All that stuff.
Yeah. So here's the deal. The Grandmaster Edition is the one everybody sought after. People either complained it was too expensive, didn't buy it, and then got upset when they couldn't buy it because it sold out.
Right.
I mean, there was a lot of. I haven't seen this much butt hurt about a kit since the Shadow Wars set came out, and people couldn't buy that.
Right.
Like
for a game that then died.
it.
Shadow Wars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Shoot, I was like about to. We were gonna throw down at that.
No,
It hasn't even been born yet. Here.
No. I'm talking about.
But my point is that Grandmaster Edition was expensive.
Yeah.
But you got a lot with it.
Yeah.
And people didn't recognize that this is what you were getting with it. I strongly feel that.
Yeah.
You're going to have differing opinions. This is going to for sure going to cause a thread in the Facebook group. But then you could buy those pieces, all the things there individually, and it would cost you
a
more.
lot more. Yep.
You know, and that's the way it works. It's a special edition. You get it or you don't.
People always complain about the price point of Games Workshop, you know, and I get it.
This is
And-
why
and-
I actually don't allow like price discussions in the group
Sure.
because all it does is devolve into the same arguments.
I mean, it did seem like this stuff was priced a little on the high side, but
It
you
is.
know what?
Specialist game.
It's a specialist game, and I gotta say, like, I'm excited because it looks like a lot of our group has been getting into it. Like Austin's painting up all his
Austin
stuff,
Lynn's stuff looks so good.
and I'm seeing a lot more people paint it up, and I'm a little fearful for my wallet because I really want to see it played.
I want to see it played too.
And before I jump
I've
into
held
it,
off on getting the Warhounds. And
Let
the
me tell you,
Reavers.
seeing those Titans on that small scale, they did such a nice
They're
job.
amazing.
Of those.
Beautiful.
They're really
and they
well
would paint
done.
up so quickly.
Yeah, they do.
But I
They
mean,
look
people would
nice.
literally complain about like the detail level and what it took to assemble the Warlord Titan. Oh, it's too detailed. I'm like, what are you talking?
Yeah.
You know, no, it's not too detailed.
People,
it's
you know,
amazing.
it's fine.
Calm down, Carl.
It's always been
That's what
that
you're
little,
saying.
Some people
that little
loved it.
bug.
I
in my
haven't
ear.
even played the game yet. You know,
Yeah.
I've got my models. I got my knights assembled. I've got my warlord in a case where I need.
I bought the foam insert for the box.
Did
It's
you
all,
really?
Yeah.
I need to paint the plates on them and stuff. But now that I'm airbrushing the hell out of stuff, you know what the hardest thing for me is, and this is the thing that's holding me up, is picking the color scheme that I want.
Yeah.
and that is legitimately holding me
Google
back. at this
Images,
point.
man.
No, I've done all that.
I have
I'm-
my paint scheme.
I'm
Limit it down to 5,
Yeah.
and then do a group
Random.
vote.
You know how I have to be like a unique snowflake and all that.
Yeah.
So paint them all like Frozen or something, like actual snowflakes.
All right. Moving on.
Just let it go.
So
Let it go.
Incredible release. I mean,
Yeah,
that
it's amazing
Whether
release.
you were upset or not, you have to admit, Adeptus Titanicus generated a lot of time
Attention.
for people typing.
Yep.
Right. Like there's a lot of attention around it.
And it sold really, really well.
It sold very well. So GW Prime in September rolls out the Kill Team Rogue Trader box set.
Oh my goodness.
You selling that one off?
No.
Good.
No.
You want to buy my Nurgle?
Because I'll tell you who you can give it back
No.
to. You're selling that one
No.
off.
No. I'm not getting rid of
No,
that.
it's a cool set.
It
It's
is
a
a cool
awesome
set. The Knight Preceptor Canis Rex
So cool.
comes out. Warhammer Underworld's Night Vault. I don't know why I have that list on here.
Yep,
that
that's
should have
all right.
gone over to your show.
Yep.
The,
We do a whole show on it.
the Big Fact 2 for GW
Oh, yeah.
releases comes out and
Yep.
changes a lot of things that cause people to have aneurysms.
That was a big one. Yeah, that
This
was.
is the one I think where they make the change to fly and how you can move an assault, right?
Yes.
Pretty sure this is the
Yep.
change.
Yep.
So the big frustration point I heard from people is you can't fly in the assault phase. You can only move on the ground in the
Yep.
assault phase.
Yep.
So
Right.
now all these things that were
Now you
bubble
have to
wrapping,
actually use strategery.
yeah, you got to make some adjustments to how you're playing. That's the
Right.
way I see it. Oh, the old tricks that you used to use don't necessarily work
And
anymore.
really putting a kibosh in like the Alpha Strike, blow you off the army turn one,
Yeah.
deep strike in your face.
Yeah, they finally settle on the deep strike rules too, because originally there was this whole,
Yeah.
well, you can't do it in this turn, but you can in your own deployment phase.
Right.
And the interesting thing I heard about that recently was people had said, well, what is this representing on the table? Like it was purely a balance rule,
Right.
but like it didn't make sense in terms of thematically. Like, why
Right.
can't I if I can deep strike here, why can't I deep strike over there?
Right.
This round. And they were like, you know what? You're right. That's a good point. Okay, no deep striking first turn, right? You're preparing.
Right.
Okay, that I can buy.
Right.
But that's an interesting argument, I think.
Yep.
Okay, Kill Team Mortali comes out.
Death Watch.
Death Watch team. That's actually a really
And-
nice kit.
You know what? I was a little upset actually when Kill Team first came out
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Why?
because when Death Watch first came out and chapter approved way back in 2000 whatever it was, what was it called?
Kill Team.
Death Watch Kill Team.
Kill
Yeah.
team, yep.
It was a kill team.
Yeah.
I had the original models with the metal iconography.
Yeah.
Death Watch Kill Team. And Kill Team comes out and there's no Death Watch. I'm like, what the hell?
Well, now there.
Now there is, yeah.
In addition to that, you get the Kill Team, the Slicing Noose for the Dark Eldar.
Drukhari,
the
yeah.
Drukhari. Yeah, so very, very cool sets that come out. Black Library releases,
The paperback version.
the paperback version of Outer Dark, Carcharodons. Caiaphas Cain, Choose Your Enemies by Sandy Mitchell. This is like the first Caiaphas Cain novel, I think, in quite
long time.
while to
Yep.
come out. I'm not a huge Caiaphas Cain fan myself,
Really?
personally. Yeah. I need to give it another go. Anyway, also Of Honor and Iron by Ian St. Martin.
Do you know what that focuses on?
No.
I don't either.
No, I'd have to go back
Either
and take
Iron
another
Hands
look.
or Iron Warriors, huh?
I
That's what I would
create this
think.
whole list of things, and I look at it at the
Yeah,
time, and
yeah,
by the
yeah.
time I get to this, and then Blood of Ix by Robbie McNiven,
Yep.
which I have not read yet, but I do have to admit I like Robbie's writing
Yep.
there a bit. He's got some potential to grow into, I think, somebody that I'm really, really following. I haven't picked this one up yet, though. Forge World releases the Middle Earth strategy battle game and rules manual, and I just mentioned that here
Yeah, it's the
because
reboot of the Lord of the Rings game.
the Lord of the Rings and then the Hobbit
Right.
game, which I always felt like the Hobbit was. I think that was the wrong branding around that game.
Well,
Like,
they
I
did it
see
because
why
of
they did.
licensing. It was because of the licensing.
Yeah, but it just felt like the wrong branding because the world is so much bigger than the Hobbit sounds small.
Yeah.
Right. You hear Lord of the Rings, you think, oh, huge. Anyway, that was just me. They come out with these crazy measuring sticks.
I'm
based
glad you
around
put
the
that in there.
weapons.
I'm glad you put that in there. I thought they were so cool. They look like swords. The
I have
measuring
not
sticks that
even
look like
seen
swords.
these.
One
You
looks like
didn't see 'em?
Gandalf's staff.
Yeah, they're really
Yeah.
cool.
And they're all different lengths.
Yeah.
So it's really,
It's cheesy, but it's cool.
It's cheesy, but it's nerdy and fun.
Yeah.
And then the Battle for Pelennor Fields came out, which is all
that's
these
their
models
big
in
box
plastic,
set,
which is really, really nice. Then Anarchus Scoria Magos for the Dark Mechanicum comes out. I freaking love this model.
That's a cool sculpt. Really well done.
I love this model. And
when they first came out, the photos when they first came out, the angle, you couldn't really tell what the model was.
Yeah.
He's creepy looking.
But he is creepy. It's cool.
Super creepy looking. I've always wanted to do, I've always said if I was going to do Imperial Guard, I'd do a Chaos, like a Trader Guard thing.
Yeah.
I actually bought, how they, Forge World stopped selling the Trader Guard. I bought some because I want to do them in Kill Team.
Well, and I gave you those Cadians that are painted like ghosts.
Yeah, but I think I'd repaint anything I do. I need to find the Cadian just legs to put those torsos on because I'm going to use those, and then there was something else I had decided I was going to use for their Stormtrooper version, their whatever they call them, the Tempestus Scions, because I want to have a Kill Team and I want to make it all Chaos themed, so it'll just represent. But like I said, I've been kind of toying around with a Kill Team Mechanicus army too.
Yeah.
If I were going to do a Mechanicus army, I would do a Dark Mechanicus army.
Yep.
And I would use this guy as Call.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And just have him represent Call on the board and try to paint everything.
Just build a patrol. See where it goes.
Is that how
Build
it
a kill
works?
team. Just build a kill team.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Just stop there.
Just do a patrol.
Just stop there.
The Reaver Battle Titan came out this month too, for Titanicus.
Yes. And again, the Warhounds had come out. The Reaver came out. I'm like, I held off buying them. I was good.
Yep.
I held up because I
haven't bought any additional stuff.
I haven't played the game yet. I need to play the game, see if I enjoy it before I invest more into it.
More than once, I had the new stuff in my hand at the counter, and I went and put it back.
Same.
It's no,
I did
I got to
exactly
Showing restraint. I'm so proud of you guys.
Thank you. As I'm trying to sell my second Porsche.
Yeah, exactly.
Doug Neal always goes, "You're an impulse buyer."
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I know. This was the Porsche I wanted, though. I've got it.
There you go.
I just got to get rid of the other one. And then the Astra Militarum and Horus Heresy armies get the Carnodon tank.
Yes.
Which, it's a tank. This is why I haven't done an IG army. I'm not a huge fan of the tanks. So, anyway. Okay, October rolls around. Games Workshop Prime delivers Kill Team Advanced Team Star Pulse, which is the Tau and Trench set piece.
Yes, I like the trench set.
Yep. Kill Team the Exalted Scythe, which is Necrons and more trenches. More trenches. This is very clever on their part, where they're just able to take these portions of old terrain, kit it with this thing. Kill Team Wall of Martyrs set, which is a little bit of the trenches and the cardboard play surface. It's not the Wall of Martyrs set that I got.
Right.
And then we get Kill Team Commanders.
Yeah, which changes the game significantly. It's actually very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Again, I haven't played it yet, but I'd like to.
Yep. I'm gonna pick it up, and it looks. I flipped through it, and I'm like, this looks cool.
It comes in a box set. Yep. The one thing I will say is I wish that box that it came in, because it comes with a box and the cards go underneath the book in the box set.
Yep.
I wish they'd made that box a little bigger so it could hold both the Kill Team manual and the Commander set. And then I could just carry my books in the box.
Real quick tangent. Dan actually took all his Kill Team books and got them spiral bound.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I'm
actually
so
not a bad
doing
idea.
this."
I've
He's like,
done that
it was like $15, and I'm flipping through it like, this is so much easier to just.
A lot of people used to do that with codexes and stuff, especially when they were soft.
I did it with Flames of War when I started.
Yeah, but that's a book that you kind of want to lay open a lot.
Yep.
So that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, you
It's
just
a
head down to
solid book.
FedEx or somewhere in Office Depot. They'll do it.
Really high quality books, though.
Yeah, they are. They are really, really fun game.
Very orange.
It is. Well, and
That's
you
their
can
thing,
tell the Kill Team stuff because it's
Yep.
all
orange.
branded.
Yeah,
the
it's
same.
very branded
It's
very
very
well.
smart. Okay. Also, the Speed Freaks box set comes out.
Yes.
Hey, this is Orktober,
It is.
right?
It is October.
And tensions are running high.
October is like Fight Club at this point.
It really is. I mean, somebody brought up recently because GW did kind of their year in review, and they were, it was funny because they were sitting there putting out each of the products as they were doing it. It was a great video. And somebody's complaining, "Oh yeah, but Orcs weren't released in October." I'm like, okay, first off, you could pre-order it, the Codex in October. I go, I think they skated under the wire. I'm like, you're really going to keep going on about this? They're like, never forget. All right, fine.
But Speed Freaks was awesome.
Speed Freaks is a great
Big new
game.
models.
Introduced a whole bunch of new models.
Yep. And it's a cool little game.
Yeah, and not only that, the 500th store,
Primaris
Primaris
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant comes out.
That's really the big story of all.
This is a big story here.
Yeah.
Was this the one that was like twirling his mustache or helmet off,
He's twirling his
leaning
mustache
to the side?
while he's holding all your cash.
Is that what it is?
The Black Library release is Imperator, Wrath of the Omnissiah by Gav Thorpe. Legacy of Dorn by
Yes.
Mike Lee.
Yeah, cool book. I think
And-
that's the paperback version.
I
Came out
think
that
so
month.
too.
Yep.
And Inferno issue 1 comes out,
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting.
It was kind of cool that they
They're-
redid that.
Yeah, they're coming back to that. So I'm kind of excited to see where that goes.
And it's a graphic novel.
Yes.
People who don't know what that is.
Yeah. Originally Inferno was the name of their comic that
Right.
they had on a regular basis, which would have a couple different stories in it.
We've got a little stack of the old ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're good. They're well done.
They're
They're
dated.
dated. I was going to say, yeah. They're very 80s.
The artwork, though. I mean, I was.
Oh yeah, still
yeah.
it's still iconic, right? There's some great stuff in there. Crya and Forge World releases Crya the Huntress for Necromunda.
So cool.
All these characters they've released for Necromunda are
Necromunda is
just
so
brilliant.
Cool. Yep.
Adeptus Titanicus releases the Warhound Scout Titans at this point.
Those were the ones I came the closest to buying. I actually had,
They're so cool looking.
Yeah, they are.
Also, along with those and along with the Reaver stuff earlier, they'd released the command terminals, which you need to play,
Yep.
and the weapon cards. So all those things are very important towards the rules. The Necron Saraptek Heavy Construct
Really
comes
cool
out.
looking model.
Really cool. And I've watched some battle reports with him being
Have
used.
you?
And yeah, he looks like he's pretty. He's a knight titan.
It's
basically.
a knight
Yeah.
equivalent, right?
Yeah.
Just stompy and shooty. Yep.
Yep.
And along with those, you can get the Synaptic Obliterators, the Transdimensional Projector, or the Singularity Generators.
I just think they're great.
The names are
names,
freaking
yeah,
phenomenal.
yeah.
Let
I
me
don't know
tell
what they
you-
do, but I think they're great names.
I just listened to, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it's an audiobook by 4 different people: John French, CZ Dunn. I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, it has 4 different stories in it. They're audio dramas, and it's called Time of Something or Something of Time. Anyway, the first one has Armin in it, so that's of course what I
Why you
really.
bought it, yeah.
But there's a Necron in it, and the voice they do for the Necron is freaking awesome.
Is it electronic?
Yeah, I will play it for you later. It is amazing. Like the audio quality on those things has just gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Super good. I'll loan it to you, Justin, so you can listen to it.
Cool.
Did you listen to the audio drama Agent of the Throne?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Cool.
like that one
Yeah.
too. That John French story I was just talking about, though, confused the heck out of me. Like, I literally messed up. I got some questions. I don't understand what was going on. Still supporting Adeptus Titanicus.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people saying, when are they going to do Xenos? And yes, we know it's set in 30K, but I think let's see how it does, and we can go from there, type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, November rolls around. We're almost there.
October. I'm sorry.
Norktober.
Norktober for sure.
Codex Orcs releases, which was pre-ordered at the
Yeah,
end of
yeah,
October, causing tremendous amount of angst over a joke about a name. So
Although, you know what though? They leaned into Orktober really well.
They had
every
articles
single
every-
day.
yeah.
Every single day they had something orc related.
I think people were expecting model after model after
I
model.
think they were too, yeah.
But here's the thing, and this is what kind of blew my mind, was like, people built it up in their head more than GW was even promoting it, and then got disappointed that their expectations weren't met. It was a really strange, that's just not how I
You know
feel
what?
about it.
The way I look at it though, I look at it as people are super passionate about that army,
They sure are.
and orc players have always been passionate
And
about
let me
their
tell you
army,
that
so I think
that
it's
army
fine.
seems to be doing quite well.
Yes, it does.
So
It was
data-
worth the wait.
Data
Yeah.
cards and dice come out.
Yep.
Sly Marbo re-releases
Yes.
at this point. So if you
Yep.
didn't pick them up before, you can pick them up now. 2 new paint handles come out.
You know what? Those are great.
One for a bigger diameter base.
Yep.
If you haven't used those paint handles,
They're phenomenal.
They are
I love them.
amazing.
Yes, I have 4 of them.
And I do too. And I didn't realize, like, the one with the little armatures.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what's that? good for. And then I saw somebody gluing, an arm onto somebody and use that to hold it in place.
Yes.
And I was
As opposed to
that's
like
what it's for.
I would use it mostly for sub-assemblies, just so it's all right there.
You
but
could do either, but I was like, oh, that's pretty smart. I still haven't picked one up, but
One of the guys from the D6 generation had one with the arms next to the other one, holding a piece onto the other one. I'm like, I think you're doing it wrong.
just the basic paint handle. They were
Yeah.
sold out for a long time
They're awesome.
because they are
Yeah.
awesome.
I just own one, but I really want to buy a couple more.
Yeah.
They're great.
And actually reasonably priced for what you're getting. It's
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
$8
not bad.
or whatever.
Blackstone Fortress, the board game, comes
Oh.
out, which is
Those
beautiful.
models.
Beautiful.
I'm hoping a nice glimpse into the future of what's to come for
I think it is.
some of my favorite armies.
I think
Yeah.
so. The Terrain Collection box set for the Munitorum. So now we're starting to get into like the holiday thing, and they start
Right.
pre-releasing these Terrain Collection box sets,
Which is awesome.
For the most part, are of value for their money.
Yep.
So the Munitorum Munitions Hub, the Imperial Sector, the Thermic Plasma Nexus, which is the one I wanted and couldn't get a hold of.
Yep.
And the Derelict Factorum. I think it was the Munitions Hub. I think that's the one with the crates, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
The one with the crates, though, was interesting because when I looked at it and I looked at the components that you got for it, I don't think you were getting a good deal on that one.
That one's pretty close.
Like
I
it
think.
didn't seem to like add up as much. So anyway, Black Library.
Spear of the Emperor.
Yeah. You and I
Yes.
both bought
We
this
both bought the
collector's
special edition. Yeah,
yeah.
Spear of the Emperor.
You disappointed in your collector's
Not
edition?
at all.
No, me either.
Not at all.
This is
I
one of the-
actually didn't want to open it. It
It's-
was so pretty. I mean, the wrapping paper that they presented in it was
Yep.
just beautiful.
This is, I think, one of the best special editions they've ever
it's
put
so
out.
cool. And I just love the fact that the Emperor's Pointy Sticks got a special edition. I'm sorry. Oh, Spears.
Oh,
Yeah, whatever.
whatever. Okay. Blackstone Fortress, the special edition novel comes
The
out
novel,
as well.
right,
The
yeah.
Black Library novel comes out. Forge World releases the Adeptus Titanicus Warlord Titan with new weapon sprues.
Oh.
Yeah, that happened.
Yep, there was drama around this
Oh,
too.
Let's not even go
I think
there.
we talked about this
Yes.
already. We don't need to go over that. They also released the weapon sprue a
Yep.
week later.
Yep.
So you can get the weapon sprue separate. The Alpha Legion Praetor and Praetor in cataphractite armor.
Looks great.
Amazing.
Looked amazing.
Looking Horus Heresy models.
Yep.
And the Proteus Landspeeder. This is the
Old
throwback
school.
Road
Yeah.
Trader.
I'm not a fan.
Not a fan.
I never
I think
was.
you have to be from that kind of. It's like that nostalgic kind
It's
of.
definitely a throwback, and it makes sense that they would release that in 30K because it's a throwback
it
to the
totally
original
does.
model.
It
I get
totally
it.
does.
It totally makes
I
sense.
get it, but I also don't like the what is it? The Vindicators from back then either. Like I'm not a huge
Oh, you
fan
I
of
don't think
those.
they had Vindicators back then, but no, the second edition.
Forge World did.
Well, this
Yeah.
model
Yeah.
dates back to like Road Trader.
Yeah, I know.
Like
I know.
just
And it's
old.
funny the story, the Burdens of Loyalty novel, the one we were talking about before, the
Yeah.
compilation of stories. One of them is written by Aaron Densky Bowden about a Imperial Fist who's rescuing Arkham Land from Mars
right.
as it's being invaded,
Right.
and it's written in reverse order.
Oh, is it?
The chapters
I need to
happen,
go check this book out. I don't think I've read that
The
one.
chapters happen in reverse order, but Arkham Land, who the Land Speeder and Land Raider are named after,
Right.
He's the character in it, so it's interesting.
He's actually in 30. Like
Yes.
he's been in 30. He was in the
One of the
one about the
novels.
Emperor.
Yes.
Whatever it is, Master of Mankind.
Master of Mankind. Yep.
Yeah, he's featured extensively in
Yeah.
Master of Mankind. Very interesting character. So, I'm
With
glad
his-
they're
with
kind
his,
of.
with his little cyber monkey.
I'm glad they're kind of addressing him.
Yeah.
He's an interesting character.
And December is right up my alley.
So here we are in December,
Yes.
the final
just
month.
passed.
And go ahead, Justin.
So they released a sweet set that I still need to buy. Actually, I say that.
Better
I'm-
get it quick if
I'm
you're gonna
probably
get it.
honestly not going to buy it because I don't need a lot that's in it, but it's still a very cool set. And this is Wrath and Rapture.
Yep.
So it was a demon-specific box with Khorne facing off versus Slanesh, which is very fitting, with some very creepy models that came inside of it.
Right? I think.
And I think they'll sell those models separately.
putting
eventually.
eventually,
I'm sure.
Eventually.
Yeah, I'm
like
sure.
they do with all these.
Yep.
But I mean, interesting that there was this whole thing about Slanesh is going to back off all this stuff, and they're not going to do Slanesh because it's not kid friendly.
Yep.
And then we see one of the most horrific models I've ever seen
Yeah.
Right.
come
That
out of
harp.
that.
They just cranked it up. They watched a bunch of horror movies and locked themselves away in a room,
That's
dark
right.
room, and embraced it. So a very cool set. And then followed up with that, we had the Special Noise Marine.
Right, which has probably
the best commercial.
video.
the best video intro ever.
Squeak, squeak, squeak.
Yep. Oh, it's freaking amazing. And chapter approved 2018.
Yeah, buddy.
Yep.
Which has tons in it.
Good stuff.
If you haven't picked that book up,
Do
what
it.
are you doing? You
Love
need
the
to pick that book
missions.
up.
Love the points drops. It's just really, really well done.
And Vigilus Book 1 comes out.
Yeah.
So super excited there.
I got the special edition of that
Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to bang that. With
So excited about Chaos.
Yeah, with the introduction of kind of reintroduction of what would be formations, but are now called tactical. Strategic. Yeah, whatever.
But they're forcing you to
Spin command
points
Yep.
to unlock
Certain
new stratagems.
features.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really, really like
Interesting
the
way
they're
of
approaching
leveraging
it.
that. Yeah.
And I hope they keep that maintained. I think everybody's like, okay,
I think so too.
but you know,
that's loud and clear, I'm sure.
Yeah.
At this
Well,
point.
and the nice thing about it is that if it turns out that it's not balanced enough, they just add the command points, right? It's
Make it cost-
increase them,
easier
yeah.
to balance out.
that's true. That's true.
I just like it from a fact that people are going to be encouraged to build very armies that match the lore, and
Which
instead
is-
of these,
Yeah.
Which is one of the things, if you remember, they talked about the focus for Age of Sigmar originally was the idea that the army gets stronger if you build it through a lore perspective.
right.
They
That was
want
their
their army
that really
that
was
that was their
yeah,
original
from-
design
yep,
for it.
yep.
And so it's interesting to see them going back to that because they tried to do that with formations before in 40k.
Yeah.
I think they learned, and then they tried it out again in Sigmar. And then they're coming back just like they've done all of these times before.
Yeah.
They go back and forth and fine tune stuff.
Conceptually, the idea is very cool.
Yes.
They just have to figure out the mechanics around
Exactly
it that are
right.
balanced to work out.
Well, at least
Exactly
they're
right.
reining into like the sheer
For
amount
sure.
of free troops and free tanks and whatever else you used to get. Now it's like, sure, you could burn some command points and get some cultists back, but
I think they even limited the amount of command points you can recoup now.
Yes.
oh yeah, they have
Yeah, which
only
is
one
great.
per battle round.
Yeah.
One of the
which
things
is
I
solid.
really
a huge
like,
difference.
and I could be wrong, but this is just my sense of it. It feels like they have more people on staff who are actually rules writers focused. I feel like they had people before who did both lore and rules, and I feel like they have some people now who are really focused on mechanical issues.
Yeah. Well, it's a
It's a team thing.
Yeah.
It's a team
remember,
process.
codexes used to have to have one person's name, in
Right.
it, which I don't think was really fair because it's probably not realistically one person writing that codex, and also it probably drew a lot of ire.
Yes.
Much like Loopy
Oh, yeah.
being in the Orc Codex. I'm like, I don't know if I'd want my
name in there.
codex. Oh, it's a good one? Okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's like win or lose. Either it's overpowered or
Yeah.
it sucks, and
Right.
you're the
so,
guy.
but
Hold the banner.
that being the case, also they're also play testing this stuff,
A lot more.
right?
Yep.
As we know. So,
Boy, are they?
yeah. So anyway, Black Library Horus Heresy Titan Death by Guy Haley. I can't tell you. I've been in the GW store multiple times recently because I've been exchanging those kits, and I keep picking this book up and then going, I can't read this
don't
right
have
now.
time
I've
right
got
now,
too
yeah.
much going on.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it comes out on Audible first. So I'm gonna grab it there. Forge World releases the Blood Angels Contemptor Dreadnought. Blood
All
Angels
that stuff is
Leviathan,
All
so
good.
good.
and the Praetorian and Terminator and regular armor.
Yes.
And my God, these are
Just
beautiful.
filigree and just
Yep.
beautiful.
These are what the
beautiful
Blood
sculpting.
Angels are supposed to be.
All the contemptors
Yeah,
look good.
yeah, but
It's interesting you say that. Like it almost seems like they really embraced the artistry that these guys literally
That's
are
what they're supposed to be in
artisans.
30K
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I mean, well, I remember talking to Chris Raitt a long time ago at an Adepticon, and he had said, I'd really like to write Blood Angel stuff, but it's kind of somebody's already got their stake in the ground with that one, and they're writing that. And I said, well, how would you do it differently? And he said, I would really focus on their artistry, and I'd really focus on the fact that they are artists as well as warriors.
Right.
And I think like that has been
That vibe is coming through.
that's coming
Yep.
through for sure. And in these models, like I don't even like Blood Angels, and I was like, oh, maybe I should
Yeah.
start a Blood Angels on me.
Just start a patrol detachment, Carl. Shut up. That's all you need. Just a patrol.
It's 30K.
Okay, also the Wrath and Glory RPG releases.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to see that yet.
So I went in big on this. Doug Neal and I both went in big on it. Like I
Yeah.
got the $300 set.
Oh, you did?
That came with everything that it came with. And I got to tell you,
Because you guys played it.
Yeah, we gave it one little run through, and we were tired, and I don't think it was a fair shake. I got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed in this product.
That's big because you're an RPG guy.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when we would play the Fantasy Flight RPGs, whether it was Death Watch or Dark Heresy or whatever, like Space Marines were a level above.
Yeah.
Like, and
a normal. That,
like
they just
you
kind of feel.
You typically didn't run them together because, you have these Space Marines that are super
way overpowered.
Yeah, I mean, I jokingly said, I only have 5 rounds in my gun, so I can only kill 10 of these guys, right? So, I mean, Space Marines were that good. They really played like when you could remember
when you read the
where
lore,
all their bonuses was, but they played like a Black Library Space Marine,
right?
Like the way they should be.
And
a movie Marine.
Yeah, and this game, no. I was hoping when I saw that they were gonna, you could play a Marine with a Commissar and this, that, and the other thing. I was like, okay. I used to play a lot of Cyberpunk 2020, and in that game, a lot of us always wanted to play solos because solos were your combat gods.
Right.
I talked about this a little bit.
Yeah,
and what would happen is, you'd have times where every character class would shine. Here, it's like you're all kind of together. Nobody really stands out. I don't feel like the Space Marine feels like a Space Marine. My Commissar does as much damage as the Space Marine's really doing. It just felt... It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right to me. There's also not a lot of lore included in the stuff that I've got so far.
Really?
There's not as much as I would have expected, especially for a core book. My understanding is that there's lore coming later, but I kind of feel like that's almost too late at that point. So
it feels like it should have been with the original release.
I completely agree. So I gotta say, I mean, I really wanted to like this. I really, really wanted to like this. But at this moment, and I'll give it another go, but at this moment, like if I were gonna RPG in 40k, I have all that old Fantasy Flight stuff. I would just play that at this point. So, I know that's not like a very
Can't
thorough...
you still get it on Drive-Thru RPG?
I think you can, yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know that's not like a super thorough review and all that, but just approach it cautiously. Like, take a look. Like, you can get the digital versions of these. Take a look at those, which you'll probably be able to get a little bit cheaper, through Drive-Thru RPG or something like that. See if this game is right for you. It's not right for me. I'm certain of that now. So, a little bit bummed about that. I was really looking forward to
it being good.
Yeah. So, okay, that's the year. That's the whole year.
What a year!
So what we're going to do is we're going to take a short break. We'll come back to close out the show, but during that time, we're going to talk about kind of what our final thoughts are on how the year went, what our favorites are there, and kind of go from there. Just a little bit of freeform discussion there, and then we'll wrap up the show.
Hey guys, I'm Caleb.
And this is Kat.
And we are CK Studios. We want to invite you and your friends to come paint with us at one of our exciting and fun-filled airbrush and hobby weekenders. Our weekend workshops are 2 days of intense hands-on training, working directly with and learning from some of the top gaming artists in the industry.
Whether you're brand new to miniature painting or an experienced veteran that wants to up your game, CK Studios has the workshop for you. Our workshops cover everything from learning the basics and building confidence in airbrushing, all the way up to creating that centerpiece model for your army or display case.
For more class info and our upcoming schedule, you can find us on Facebook at CK Studios Come Paint With Us, or register directly at ckstudios.bigcartel.com.
If you can't find a class near you, that's okay. Just contact us and we'll bring a workshop to you.
All right, so let's get into our final thoughts here for the
year that
year in
was
review. Jeez,
2018.
Getting late.
Year that was 2018.
So here, let's start off with this. We had a suggestion from Desmond Kennedy that we do some kind of community awards here at the end for people who have really shown
Gone
up
above and beyond
in the group.
Yeah.
On the Facebook group specifically.
Yeah, and so we went through a few things and a few ideas, and Don, why don't you take the first one?
So one of the categories that was suggested we're going to use is best painted or most impressive project.
Yeah,
and
I think we were unanimous.
You-
in this
yeah, yeah.
discussion.
Absolutely. Yep.
So our unanimous vote on this was Jeremy Woods' Armies on Parade diorama.
Which was Ultramarines versus Tyranids
Yes.
in
Yeah,
this
epic.
multi-leveled hive. With,
It was fantastic work. You got robbed.
you got robbed, dude.
You really
You
did.
should have won Armies on Parade at your store.
Yes, that gimmick that one should not have won.
Yeah,
I think I watched that video he made of it like about 5 times.
It
It's
is
fantastic.
incredible, and your work, your ongoing work,
Yeah.
is just fantastic. Speaking of, let's talk about best painted unit that we've seen on
Black
the-
Shields.
Yeah, and it's got to be again.
Jeremy.
I'm sorry, but Jeremy Woods, your Black Shields project, without a doubt,
I keep going back to those pictures.
blowing my mind.
Yep.
Just blowing my
Really
mind.
amazing freehand ability.
I am so jealous of that freehand capability. It is beautiful. Okay, best painted model, Adon.
My vote is Stephen Triandafilidis.
Yeah, that's why I made you say it.
Stephen Triandafilidis in his Spartan tank.
Amazing.
That Spartan
Blood
tank.
Angels,
Yep.
Spartan tank,
The freehand on that thing, yeah. The just
freehand. Like, if
And
you
it
can
goes
do
back
it-
to the Blood Angels being artists.
Yeah.
Right? It
We were
really
just
fits
talking
in.
about.
Yeah, it really fits in with the lore well. Nicely done.
just a beautiful model.
Yep.
And like I said, I'm not a Blood Angels fan. I know Chris Morgan,
You think?
but although our show Force Blood Angels had me, Jesus, those are dangerous.
And
They
those
are.
Forge World
They really are.
models.
Those Forge World models, but this unit too,
Yeah.
also a Forge World
Really
model,
nice.
just
Yeah, he nailed
really
it.
impressive.
Yep.
So great job. Best conversation starter, Adon.
I think it's the accountability buddy.
Yeah, accountability buddy.
Accountability buddy. Yeah, I think Eric Beers came up with a great idea on that, having people pick a project for the month, and it was kind of like he kind of started kind of his own substitution for the Hobby Progress Challenge.
Asked if you could do it on the group.
Yep.
We were like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think
assign
it's
it.
been a great conversation starter.
Yeah, he's
Yep.
always been super active, really
Yep.
positive. Yep, good guy.
Yep. The worst and most overdone running joke, believe it or not, was not dry fitting.
Really?
We were doing so well this whole episode. Not once.
Really? That was never really a big.
But
Facebook
No, it
thing.
wasn't.
It's
But-
still pretty much alive, though. Did you see
but-
the post somebody had? Like,
yeah, no,
okay,
I-
okay.
Yeah.
So I think though on the Facebook group the most overdone one I think without a doubt is one pot of paint.
I will agree.
And
I
I
think
contributed
we need
to that.
but I think it's time. I seriously, I think it's time to put that one to bed.
So I need to remove it as a topic.
I think.
Yeah,
It's one of the
that's fair
topics.
enough.
I need to remove that.
That-
should we ban it?
No.
No.
Okay.
Everybody, if somebody posts that, you just go boo, 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 boo in the comments, and then
It's just going to
Or
make
just
people post it
hashtag
more.
move on.
Hashtag move on.
there you go. And then I think the other one has to be the spilled wash, bottle of wash.
Yeah, I'm kind of done with that one too.
Yeah.
Like
Pouring
It
out
is
from my
creative.
those are so, what? It's so 2018.
Yeah,
Yes.
but seeing
You're
seeing
right.
what people do to prevent their washes from spilling is it's pretty creative.
I got to tell you,
They build contraptions.
I've never
I'm like,
spilled
I
a
just,
wash.
I was like, I just put mine in a heavy shot glass and never
There
spilled
you
it.
go.
I've just never spilled my wash. I don't know, but I keep.
Or
it
I tend
out
to
of
like
reach.
get what I need and close it.
Right. I don't know,
But
that's just me. It happens. I get
It
it.
happens.
It does.
I just like seeing people who spend $17 worth of stuff to not spill a $4 pot of paint.
Although my favorite was when somebody spilled it on their pants and we were all like looking at modern art. We're like, I see a horse. There's some good that comes from it, but
So yeah, I think let's retire those. Let's come up with
Yes.
new ones that we can drive into
Yes.
the ground for
Yep.
2019.
19, yep.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you come up with.
Yeah, and one of the other last ones that Desmond recommended.
and runner up has to be, is this hobby progress? Here's the thing. If you have to ask,
that is true.
it's not.
Okay, fair enough.
You know, like own it, like I do, right? Purchase hobby progress. Yeah, they are.
Yes.
They are. It's my show, right? I don't ask anybody, do you think this is hobby progress? Because no.
Yeah.
If you have to ask, you're wrong.
Fair enough.
But the other thing that Desmond recommended was a community award.
Yeah.
And I wasn't quite sure what he meant by it, but my take on it is actually.
But before you say this,
Yes.
Next year, I think, as the year progresses with our community going on, we may come up with something that's more individual focused, right? That's like
maybe
this person, or whatever. But I think I really like where you went with this, Adon.
Yeah, I think for this year, definitely the community award is actually our Facebook community, our overall independent characters community.
I wouldn't even say just the Facebook group.
Exactly.
Because
the overall
we
community.
received a lot from people who maybe are not a part of that group but listen to the show.
And we're talking specifically about the fire relief efforts that we pulled together. Yeah. And I really... I was just blown away by how the community overall, and not just the independent characters community, the Games Workshop community, the community in general. I mean,
the love definitely spread.
Yeah,
you know?
and I really think, seeing it on different blogs and different Facebook pages and different websites to see it talked
people
about,
sharing that,
and people sharing it, and
other podcasts.
Yeah, and I really. To me, that's where the community award really goes, is to the overall community and the way everybody stepped up.
I would agree. You know, it's interesting. I mean, we do, I know I do, exist in this little bubble of the independent characters community.
Yep.
That's very positive. And like the thing about it is that that's what we set out to build. And so that's what's there. And people who don't like that don't last there. And that's fine.
Yep.
You know, go find something that will work for you. I recently was kind of just perusing, you know, other communities, and I was in a forum in particular, and I was like, good God, this thing is toxic. Like, it was shocking to me. It was like being thrown into a cold pool, because I was just like, why are these people playing? Like, they're so miserable. I'm like, I was just like, I got to go somewhere else. Like, I almost responded. I was like, what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point?
Just go back to your little bubble.
Yeah, I'm happy here.
You're happy in your
bubble.
bubble.
Come on in. The water's fine.
Yeah.
It's great.
You're happy in your bubble.
Yeah. So,
but no, I think.
But I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. The community was awesome.
Yeah. Any points you want to make there, Justin? No?
Absolutely agree. I mean, I think it's a perfect call out.
Okay, so great suggestion. I think next year maybe we'll formalize this a little bit more and start.
It's a fun idea.
Yeah, I'd like to, you know, as we set up, because what I do is I set up this outline at the beginning of the year, and we'll kind of, I'll give you guys access to it. We'll drop in people that we think, hey, you know, look at this and look at that.
Although the one thing I don't want to necessarily say up front we're going to standardize is the worst or most overdone running joke.
No, well,
because Lars will just go nuts.
Oh my God, Lars is the worst, dude. You heard it, Lars. Okay,
no, you know, Lars is the best. He gives me a good chuckle.
Okay, so
when it comes to puns and those kinds of things,
recently in like our own little personal thing, Doug Johnson had posted they were celebrating New Year's, and Doug Neal posted they were celebrating New Year's, and he took like a bottle of wine. And he had taken a black Sharpie and wrote in like 1942 or whatever on the bottle saying, oh, yeah, we're celebrating with this old bottle of wine or champagne.
Yeah.
Everybody started taking a black Sharpie and like writing dates on things they were drinking, like Coke cans and all this stuff. And Lars was the best. I don't know if you've seen this.
I have not. I saw the initial
Lars took a picture of himself with this horrid look on his face, like he's eating from this bag of chips, and he'd written 1914 on the bag of chips. And he wrote, this is a huge mistake.
I did see that picture, but it's
so great.
I didn't get the correlation.
It's totally Lars,
That's
though.
funny.
Yeah, so I love that sense of humor. All right. So great. We've wrapped up the year. A couple shout outs here that I wanted to make. The White Dwarf team has killed it this year.
Yes.
They really have.
And I know that they're changing format. I know that usually happens when they get a new editor in, which is my understanding. They have a new editor.
Yeah.
I haven't got my copy of this month's yet, but this magazine is getting better and better every month.
Agree.
They are doing exactly what I want to see. We even saw an article on extending terrain and like how that's what I've been asking for. Like, it's amazing, and I'm so excited to see where they're going with the new format in 2019, because they're listening to people and immediately responding. So that's mine.
Just making very interesting content.
Yeah.
That's all. Do that, and people will buy it.
I think the community team also has been super killing it. I mean, we just talked about the Noise Marine video.
Yeah, how could they actually do a better job? I mean, really,
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I
of
genuinely don't know the answer to that.
The number of videos that they put out, the way that they're engaging at events, the Facebook page. I mean, their social media Facebook page team is really funny, and I like the fact that
they've got their sense of humor back.
They're killing it.
Yeah, they're doing nothing wrong.
Yeah,
like Magnus.
Yeah,
they're doing nothing wrong.
Not quite like Magnus.
But I mean, listen, I worked with our community management team at Yahoo.
Yeah.
And like
it's hard.
It's a hard job,
It
and
is.
these guys are the example.
Yeah.
They are just the best. Like,
and even some stuff that necessarily may not have fired the way they wanted it to, they rebooted the Stormcast podcast.
Yeah.
Because frankly, I think they had Duncan doing too much stuff.
Yeah,
I just got too
would
tired.
They're exhausting that poor guy.
Yeah, it is. But again, they looked at it. They were able to pivot. They were able to do something, and the new version of it is good.
Yeah.
I mean, the old one wasn't bad, but this one's really good.
And the Voxcast is fantastic.
Really good.
So they're actually doing the video stuff that I had been playing around with, but I don't have their deep pockets, which is multi-camera, sitting. And we'll do that we'll do our fireside chats and all that.
That
kind of
fireplace,
stuff.
dude, that was awesome when we came in.
It's warms up the room.
Yep.
And last, the pace of things. I don't remember who added this.
It's a double-edged sword, really.
Yeah.
It's amazing, but
So,
oh my gosh.
I mean,
I wrote this, but
go ahead then, Adon.
well, no, I talked about the other one.
But I need you to talk to this.
Oh,
one.
okay.
You wrote this one.
So, yeah, the
And no,
pace,
I'm not editing any of that out.
the pace that the things have been happening couldn't be as effective as it has been without the people who are working at that same pace.
Yeah.
Both in the design studio and with the rules.
Yep.
And as we know from the back end, in the way that they've been interacting with folks who are helping them with some of this input, they are killing it. And the that pace that we've just been talking about, that's been so nice to see, all the codecs coming out within a year of the release of an edition, that can't happen in an effective way unless the people behind the scenes are working their butts off.
Right.
And I really want to give them a shout out because they really have been working their butts off. And I mean, all the codexes, sure, they're not perfect. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. But if you think about it, there haven't been any real stinkers, in my opinion.
I am having more fun with 8th edition than I've ever had with 40k.
Yeah.
I said that about early 7th edition, and I played a lot of 7th edition, but I'm the first one to admit by the time they were wrapping 7th edition up, like, it was bulky and unwieldy. It was unwieldy, and I couldn't introduce a new person to it.
Right.
Yep.
I can introduce a new person to 40k right now.
But think about,
in fact, I'm introducing
7th edition.
two.
Near the end of 7th edition, what were we playing? We were playing Horus Heresy and Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, agreed.
Right?
Because it was just too cumbersome.
Yeah. And so anyway, so I just want to give a shout out to the folks behind the scenes doing the
I agree
models.
with you.
Keep up the great work.
Yes,
Yeah.
because the pace has been blistering. Because we didn't even talk about the Age of Sigmar side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you look at some of the releases on the Age of Sigmar side that happened during the same period of time,
Where are they going to hear about all that
Holy
Age of
crap.
Sigmar glorious content?
probably within about a week or two on some weird little podcast called Lords and Heroes.
Yeah, check it out. That's Adon and Justin doing their own thing on Lords and Heroes, and they'll be kind of covering all the Age of Sigmar side of this. So
Oh boy.
I'm looking forward to your
Lots
guys'
of good
coverage.
stuff to talk about.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
I agree. I mean, I've just been blown away. Just when I think that, like, I can't be any more impressed with this company, they do something else that's just like, wow.
new direction,
Yeah.
new CEO, new.
We're
everything.
gone with those
New management
times
team.
of, like, having to lament with unsupported armies and a company that doesn't care. I mean, they care, and it's
Yeah.
evident.
Yeah.
And it's evident in their profits.
And they're going to do stuff that we don't like here and there.
Sure.
Either individually or as a group. But I think that they're listening and they're able to pivot and they're trying. They're really trying.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think this year represents something entirely new for Games Workshop and the way in which everything, it just feels like there's a synergy to not just their releases and the thought. I mean, we kind of realized it as 7th ended and all these lore things are kind of coming into play that, there was like there's a long-term plan here. Like, they're not just making it up a book at a time. Like, there's an overarching plan that we're going to get to this point, and it shows. It's showing.
And just look at how seamlessly this specialist game stuff is coming out, and you don't even realize, that's Forge World.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just everything has been rolling out really seamlessly, I think. It's a really nice move.
It certainly feels like it to me.
Yep.
So this was a banner year for them, and I think their profits are showing it too.
Yep.
I mean, you look at, their stock is not doing too shabby. I mean, no stock's doing great right now, but their stock is honestly not doing bad.
Yep.
especially considering the direction they were heading. This is truly a 180 for the company over the last 2 years, and just thank you, because it's like
It's exciting to see.
It's fun to play. Yeah.
As
Fun to be doing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So okay, I think we'll kind of wrap it up there. Again, this should release by Saturday.
Awesome.
Even though we got to go up to, I'm trying to get it out tomorrow night if I can. And Friday the 11th, make sure you tune in. I'll be on the live stream for
Nice.
Games Workshop from Warhammer World, so that'll be pretty fun. And yeah, I was also on Paul Murphy's Forge the Narrative podcast recently too,
Right.
talking to Paul about, even though he's very, plays very competition games, I'm more narrative focused, we still have a lot of commonalities
Right.
that we like to talk about, and we can coexist. So
The world is big enough for the both of you.
you guys got anything else you want to add before we kind of wrap it up? Or are you good to go?
Good to go.
Now I'm looking forward to driving that car full of
Oh
stuff.
my God, I
up
can't
there.
wait.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. I'm very excited to deliver all this
Yeah.
stuff. Thank you again for everybody that donated. Until next time, this is Carl.
This is Justin.
And this is Adon.
And we're coming to you from the Astronomicon, where if you thought 2018 was hard on your wallet, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Ain't that the truth?
Justin?
2019, my wallet, my poor wallet. We knew him well.
And from the Astronomicon, where 2019 says, hey, 2018, hold my beer.
All right, we'll talk to you guys soon. This episode of The Independent Characters is protected by the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find information on the front page at theindependentcharacters.com.